to the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here in the E-Gallery in Dallas, Texas. The Design District. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, round about noon. In the 12 o'clock hour. Let's just... excuse me. Seasonal allergies. Crazy weather changes here in North Texas. And so once again, my body is like completely freaking out because it doesn't know if it's supposed to be 80 degrees or 40 degrees. How are you, folks? The Rant every day. Getting back to what I'm saying. Pugs Moran. I sit here. I do this. I used to do talk radio. I used to do talk radio since 1992 in Chicago. Then moved to Dallas in 2001. Did it straight up through 2013. Then moved, got out of the business. Couldn't do talk radio anymore. Decided digital was where we needed to go. Started producing other people. Started creating other things. Then I moved back here to Dallas a couple of years ago and decided let's do it again. Talk radio is dead in this country. Talk radio is relegated to two very specific genres. Political talk, which you can find on the AM radio, your Rush Limbaughs, your Don Binjanos, or whatever that guy's name is. Your James Parker, my guy over there at 93.3 WBAP every afternoon at 2 o'clock. That's the one kind of talk. Those people can only talk about politics and why you suck for not voting the way they tell you to vote. That's what that kind of talk radio is. Entirely. I mean, like, not even entirely. There is not one, never mind, I don't want to get into it. So the other genre of talk radio is sports, and I love sports, and I happen to believe that I'm the best sports talker in America. I just couldn't imagine having to, it's so easy. That is like the easiest job in, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about sports with my buddies for 4 hours and make like 200 grand. You notice I say 200 grand now, because that's about the top. That's about where the top guys in sports radios are right now. At least the local dudes. They used to be like 2.5 million and all that. But no. Business is constricted, as they say. So that's it for talk radio. So I ask myself, where is talk radio for normal people? Where's talk radio who don't just want to talk about zone versus man defense? Or where's the talk radio for people who just don't want to hear that it's every problem in the world is a person who votes a different way's fault, right? So that's what we do here. A stream of consciousness on the hot topics, current events of the day, brought to you by somebody who is neither on the right or on the left. I'll tell you what, I'd put it this way for all the folks. 15% of people on the right crazy, 15% of people on the left crazy. That leaves 70% of us. We are the normal Americans. We vote differently. Some are Republicans, some are Democrats, some are somewhere in the middle, but we aren't nuts. Okay? These are the people who this show is for. The people who have never been kicked off an airplane and gone viral. The people who have never been arrested in a Target parking lot. And certainly this week, most importantly, those of you who are still invited to your family Thanksgivings are the only people I want listening to this show. If you check a box in any of those other three categories, there's the door. Get out. Don't want you. Don't need you. Okay. So now that we've established who this is for, which explains why there's absolutely zero coverage of this show. I've got about 100 of you people, and I can count on you. And that's it. And we've been doing it for 3 years, and that's okay. It's okay because we've got other things, and this show will grow. But now that you know what this show is, I should explain to you. It's performed in a stream of consciousness by me. What's that? Well, that's just what the past 5 minutes have been. 20 minutes, whatever. How long have I been on? 5 minutes. I don't even know. That's how confused I am. Stream of consciousness is just me and whatever thought is next in my head. No filters, no governors, no nothing. Just me. No breaks, no commercials, no music, no, hey, Madge, how is traffic looking? That's a terrible name for a traffic girl, isn't it? Madge. I wouldn't. Madge. Okay. Show plays out in 4 quarters. Here's how I deliver to you all the day's news and everything that you need to know. Quarter 1 is antecedently on this day. It's a pretentious way of saying this day in history. I go through a couple of things that have occurred on this day in history, and we riff on it. Quarter 2, birthdays. People having birthdays. Celebrate good times. We talk about people. Do we like them, or do we wish them a happy birthday, or is it just like, that person sucks? Quarter 3 is deads, people who died on this day. Heaven or hell, where'd they go? They died on this day in 1974. Where do you think that dude went? right? That's what we do, heaven or hell in quarter 3. That brings us to quarter 4. That's really what this entire thing is about. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, headlines, all the things that people are talking about today. Possibly, maybe I'll give you some things to talk about over Thanksgiving weekend, right? All right, so that's how the show plays out. We start with small talk, and let's begin with small talk. Thanksgiving weekend. It ain't Thanksgiving weekend, right? Can I just, I don't want to go nuts here from the beginning, but I don't understand what is going on with kids and school, okay? So kids are off all week. Kids are off today. Kids are off tomorrow. Kids are off Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Kids are off all week for Thanksgiving. When I was in school, we went to school on Wednesday. And Wednesday was the day you had your turkey pageants and all that shit. And yeah, Wednesday wasn't a real day, but it was actually still, you had to be there. Teachers were there. And then you'd get Thanksgiving off, and then you'd get Friday off, and then you'd have the weekend, and it's back to business Monday. And that was awesome in 1982. In 1982, as a kid, you're like, yeah, man, I can't believe, are they serious? They're going to give us all these days off, and then we're going to roll into Christmas in a couple of weeks where we get 2 weeks off? What the hell has happened to schools? Kids are off this week. There are no kids in school this week. And you know what? I might be able to accept that as a father. I might be able to be like, well, you know, times change, different policies. Maybe they start early or whatever. I'd have been able to accept that had they not just had a 1 week fall break. They just had 2 weeks ago a 1 week fall break. What the? I ask you, okay, before we go down the rabbit hole of why they're giving kids the entire Thanksgiving week off, let's go back. The fuck is a fall break? I know what a spring break is. It coincided with Easter, right? It was a way to say, you know, we're going to give all the Christians Easter week off if that's what they need, you know, but we'll call it spring break. That's fine. Guess what they got now? Both a spring break and a Easter break. Yeah. Kids are never in school. Jesus Louises. All right, there you go. Do you know that for rich people, do you know when Thanksgiving week started for rich people? Thursday. That's right. Rich people. Now, you know me, I'm a broke ass. I got no money, but I'm a parasite. I am like somehow embedded with like the uber wealthy. Like I'm just like, you know, in their wake, eating their crumbs. And you know what? Thriving, quite frankly. I have air conditioning. I have, you know, all the things that like wealthy people enjoy that we poor folks, you know, struggle to have. So I've got that. So I'm watching all the rich people for you. They all left town last Thursday. So rich kids not only have all this week off, they also had last Friday off because it's like we're going to Aspen in our jet and we want to make sure we have 2 weekends. Must be nice. The rest of us are grinding this out. I'm going to be doing shows every day this week. I will not be doing a show on Thursday. Hope you understand. The show falls in a Bears game. I got to watch my Bears be humiliated. So we won't be doing a show on Thursday, but I will be doing a Black Friday show, and we will be doing a show Wednesday and all of that good stuff. Another thing, check this out. I saw something cool this weekend, and I'm just going to mention, you know, I'll tell you what I saw that was cool because I thought it was cool because it's such a rarity. I was walking in North Park Mall, you know, the beautiful North Park Mall. Oh, it's the rich people mall. I think it's like $300 just to get in. It's like $300 at the door. So I was walking in North Park Mall, enjoying the art. More on that in a minute. If you're familiar with North Park Mall, you know about the art. More on that in a minute. I'm walking through North Park Mall, and I'm wearing a Chicago Bears t-shirt, right? It's Chicago Bears t-shirt. I was running up there to pick something up, and I was coming back. And I'm walking through the mall, and I'm wearing a Chicago Bears t-shirt, and I see this woman and 2 kids coming towards me. Now, this woman is walking. She's got a little boy and a little girl. She's walking, and the woman has a Chicago White Sox hat on, black, you know, classic White Sox hat. The little girl had a Smashing Pumpkins shirt on, and the little boy was wearing a Chicago Bulls jersey. You know, so North Park Mall, I'm in a Bears shirt coming at me, this nice little family. And as we walked past, we all laughed. We were like, where are you from? And you did that thing where you walk backwards. You're not looking, but you're trying to have a conversation. Oh, okay. I like your shirt. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, that was fun. So that was my cute little North Park story. I told you to put a pin in the art. Do you know what I learned? Do you know that North Park Mall, the super expensive elite shopping mall for the Highland Park one percenters, we're Laura Bush shops, former first ladies and shit like that, and their limousines pull up in that mall. Do you know that mall has? Do you know that mall has nonprofit status from the government? Oh yeah, they're not taxed. Oh, you know why? Because North Park Mall isn't officially registered as a mall. North Park Mall is officially registered as an art gallery whose goal it is to educate people on fine art. Yeah, North Park Mall has it's an art museum. It's got some of the most beautiful, I wouldn't say some of the world's most famous, but it does have some incredibly expensive and valuable pieces of art decorated in there. So when those rich people built their mall, they decided they didn't want to pay taxes on any of it. So they all started storing their art there in order to get a tax credit for being education friendly in the community. Is that bullshit? It's a fucking bullshit. Meanwhile, your uncle's probably got to spend the better part of February in a courtroom somewhere arguing with the IRS over the fact that he tried to claim his big screen as a working expense. Yeah. But okay, that's enough. It's the other thing I wanted to talk about. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't remember, though. Anyway, small talk segment is over. What up, Kojak? My guy Kojak hanging out with us on a Monday. We're going to get into all kinds of cool stuff today. We got fun stuff. Today, I got to tell you, I feel a little salty. Going to be a bit performative, I think. A couple things I want to rant on. We're going to talk about Joe Rogan and Klitschko. Oh, my God. This has got me all up in arms. And you know what? I think the resolution is going to be good for everyone. I'll tell you about that. We're going to talk about Trump's cabinet. His cabinet. You know me. I'm like, look, I think Trump's a con man. I've always thought Trump was a con man, but I'm not one of these like freaky MAGA haters. One of these. I don't give a shit. I'm like in the middle, whatever. You're voting for that guy? I wouldn't buy a car from that dude, but all right. That's my whole take. Those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I didn't exactly have the most fond feelings towards Kamala either, but whatever. Trump's cabinet, man. I'm kind of okay with a lot of this. I am really okay with this. Trump, his cabinet is right now on paper, and by the way, nobody's been confirmed, so we don't know what it is, but right now on paper, it is the most bipartisan and diverse cabinet that any president has had in years. He's got liberals everywhere. He's got people. So that's interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. And by the way, a lot of people aren't happy about it. Not me. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit either way. You know me. Hold on. Where's my thing? Hold on. Doing a little bit of inside work here. Got to pull up my. Thought I just received something from Twitter. All right, that's going to do it for the opening segment of the show. Let's get into the three quarters, huh? First, I need to remind you that this is a show that runs on your contributions. No commercials, nothing like that. What we do is we like to accept a little bit of tips. That's right. I'm your bartender, whatever. Happy holidays. Drop a little something. Haven't been pushing it all this month. We made it last month. That was great. We pushed the last week. We call it Pledge Week. And, so I'm just a reminder. No big push, but if you can help out, you can help out. And we're going to get into Pledge Week probably first week of December. All right, so there you have it. Let's get started. Quarter one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Do we have some breaking news? Oh no, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to have to do some big breaking news, but it's not. It's not. It was just a misleading headline that looked like something really important, but wasn't. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rant. It's the 25th day of November, year of our Lord, 2024. Fun fact alert! 330 days have been torn through the... Yeah, it's like, I think I'm so cute. I think I'm so eloquent, I'm like, I can't even say a complete sentence without stumbling. 330 pages have been torn from this year's calendar. There's 36 more until New Year's Eve, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, let's get started. Antecedently, quarter one. These are all the things that have happened throughout history on this day. We do it to, see if we can find rhythms, patterns, anything that can provide us an edge on what might be coming in the hours that lay ahead. Antecedently on this day, year of our Lord, 1783, American Revolutionary War. The last British troops leave New York City 3 months after the signing of the Treaty of Paris. Huzzah! That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 1783, man. All right, so 1786, we're like, we declare independence. And then I think a lot of people, or at least, I do lazily just assume, oh, so America started on July 2nd. No, there was like years and years of war. This day in 1783, the Brits finally left New York. 7 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Antecedently on this day in 1947, the Red Scare, the Hollywood 10 are blacklisted by Hollywood movie studios. The Hollywood 10. Hundreds and hundreds of people were named on the so-called Hollywood blacklist. What was the Hollywood blacklist? Well, you probably know, but I'll nutshell it for you. There was an anti-communist witch hunt in this country in the 1940s and 1950s. Okay, it was right after World War II. Nobody trusted Russia. They also had the bomb. There was a witch hunt. People, like they often do, used the energy of the country to pursue these witch hunts for their own glorification. They would just be like, hey, people are interested in knowing who communists are. I'm going to name a communist, and then everybody's going to be like, who else? You seem to know. They don't question whether or not the person's actually a communist. So that's essentially what the blacklist was. And the Hollywood community, the studios in general, capitulated with this very politicized thing that was going on in Washington, and decided that they would start naming people in their ranks who they didn't like. Dalton Trumbo's a great example. Ring Lardner Jr., another great example. I mean, some of the great screenwriters and creators of the era were either forced to stop and take a job in an auto yard or something, or create fake names and continue to write. Many did. Many of them did. Many were just like, all right, I'm so fucking talented, I'll just give myself a new name and people will hire me. And they did. The Red Scare, the Hollywood 10, the original list on this day in 1947, one of the great embarrassments in this nation's history. And we've got a lot of them. But you can't love America. You can't love America and, be S in its D the whole time. We got to realize America is a dude. America is a pretty cool dude. America's a pretty cool dude who doesn't have a great sense of humor, but thinks he's funny. America's a great athlete. America's handsome. America gets all the chicks. That's America. America comes from money. America's kind of a rich kid, but America is good. In America's heart, America is a good guy, right? And also, America is a lot smarter than people give it credit for, although it kind of plays dumb. Anyway, that's America. Antecedently on this day in 1963, the state funeral of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. After lying in state at the United States Capitol, a requiem mass takes place at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle, and the president is buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Is this the little JFK Jr.? Oh, shit. Hold on. Oh, okay. All right. No, I don't think so. Okay. The iconic photo of little JFK Jr. saluting his dad as the coffin goes by, the little boy saluting his dad. Well, not to ruin anything that's coming, but today is JFK Jr.'s birthday. And I thought for a minute, I was like, was that salute taking place on that little kid's birthday? But no, I don't think it was, because again, that was while it was being the procession. That was the procession to the body lying in state, where it lied in state for a few days, leading to today, where it was finally done. There you have it. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Antecedently on this day in 1984, 36 top musicians get together in Notting Hill, London, and record Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas? This was for famine relief in Ethiopia. This started it, 1984. Do They Know It's Christmas? Band-Aid, a song that I maintain is the best Christmas song of all time. It is. It's my favorite Christmas song of all time. It's the coolest. It's the best song. It's like most Christmas songs are just like, this is basically a birthday song with the jingle hit. You know, it's all like that. No, that's a real song. That's a pop song. You change all the words to Do They Know It's Christmas. You write that. That's a good pop song. That's just like the beat, the music, the chorus. It's anthemic. It's inspirational. It's motivational. It's sort of one that feed the world. Let them know it. I mean, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. That's a different vibe and a different energy. Then you got the We Are the World. That song sucks. Objectively, that is a schmaltzy, corny, cheesy, poorly written, stupid pop song from the mid-'80s. There comes a time where we can need a more. Shut up! That song sucks. Feed the World, Band-Aid. With how it begins with like that gong, that gong, 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 gong. That's just a cool beat, man. You build off that beat and you get a great song. Do They Know It's Christmas? Band-Aid, recorded on this day in 1984. I stand by that. Antecedently on this day in the year 1999, 5-year-old Cuban boy Ilion Gonzalez is rescued by fishermen while floating in an inner tube off the Florida coast. You remember Ilion Gonzalez? What a story. I mean, in all fairness, I don't remember what side I was on. So here's the story. Ilion Gonzalez and his mother's boyfriend, they got on a boat and left Cuba. Some storms hit. It wasn't just the three of them. It was a whole bunch of people, like 50 Cubans, all in little makeshift rafts. They left Cuba and headed to Florida. Storm came through. Everybody died. Everybody died except little Ilion, who was found by Coast Guard clinging to a raft. Actually, he's found by fishermen who then notified Coast Guard, clinging to a raft. There was another couple found as well, a young married couple, like two 20-year-olds. They had survived as well. But everybody else was dead. Ilion's mom, all of that. Coast Guard takes him, brings him to American detention, and it's revealed that he's got an uncle who is a granduncle who is living here in Miami, and they have family and they have roots, and they've got a whole bunch of Gonzalez's here. So the family Gonzalez wants him, and they're like, okay, he's here, clung to his life, trying to make it to freedom. We want him. Mother's dead. What's he going to do? He's going to go back to his dad in Cuba, who his mother apparently, was taking the boy from because she didn't want the father. Whatever. I don't know what those intimate details are. But it turned into a whole long thing, a very big political thing about a little boy who didn't know anything about what was going on around him, and the people in his life, his granduncle, people he had never met before, who were now, just standing and creating this wall in front of him. And it was the government of the United States that had to make the decision. It was Bill Clinton's government. Bill Clinton had to decide. Cuba was demanding him back. Cuba was like, we want our kid back. Give him back. And of course, Cubans in Miami and other people were like, no, he's an American. He came for freedom. His mother died attempting to give her son freedom. And now you're just going to send him back? Actually, I think that's the position I had back then. I think I was you can't send him back. His mom died. So Janet Reno and the Justice Department decided that it was the best decision for international relations to send him back. Now, I talked earlier about the iconic photo of little JFK Jr. You remember that picture, little JFK Jr. saluting? And I was concerned. I was like, oh, no. That picture, nobody's going to ever forget that picture. Saluting the casket as his dad goes by. I'll tell you, I got a picture that's just as iconic. Boom, there it is. You guys remember this picture? Look at that little boy. Look at that little boy in the arms of his uncle hiding in a closet because some government officials with guns drawn out and aimed come bursting through the door. That's a bad look right there. You were a lot of people like, well, what's a bad look? Oh, it's a bad look. I don't know if that's such a bad look. This is a bad look. This is an American jackbooted military thug, and I'm only describing what objectively can be taken from this photo, pointing a weapon of war at a screaming, crying child in the arms of a frightened adult. What? This is not a good look. And of course, we sent him back. Elian Gonzalez, are you wondering whatever happened with Elian Gonzalez? Well, he went back to Cuba, was raised by his father's new wife, and his 3 brothers. Okay. Ended up going to engineering school, graduated top of his class from an engineering school in Cuba. Now you have to understand, Elian Gonzalez was a propaganda tool his whole life. So it was like he was fine. When Cuba got him back, he didn't live like a regular Cuban kid, right? He wasn't, he was treated special by the state because of what he represented. So anyway, he got an engineering degree. And today, Elian Gonzalez is an elected governor in Cuba. He's a big politician. He's like a very famous man there. So, he seems to be doing okay in life. He's got a wife and kids, and he's very well respected. And some people say that he will one day be the president of Cuba. Elian Gonzalez. So, if you remember, back then, I was against sending him back. I'm like, no, give him freedom. Elian Gonzalez would be completely forgotten by now. You know what they would do? They'd bring him out on a daytime talk show and go, he's now working as a manager at a Walmart. It's Elian Gonzalez. No, I was against them sending him back. And they sent him back. And now they say he might be president of Cuba someday. I don't know. Maybe that was the right decision. Who knows? Whatever. I'm a big father's rights advocate, so I do kind of see both sides of it. Let's go. That's going to do it. That's antecedently on this day. Let's move now into birthdays, talk about people who are celebrating birthdays on this day and whether or not we like them and wish them a happy day or tell them to go kick rocks. Let's go. Birthdays. Born on this day, 1846. Oh, this broad. Oh, good. Okay. I wasn't sure I was going to do her, but since she's first, I'll mention her. Born on this day in the great state of Kansas, 1846, Carrie Nation. Do you guys know who Carrie Nation is? I mean, maybe you've heard the name. I think Carrie Nation is one of those historical figures from America that people hear because she's referenced a lot in movies. And, what are you, Carrie Nation? Stuff like that. Oh, we got a real Carrie Nation over here. That kind of stuff. Carrie Nation was a crazy lady. She was the hatchet granny. Carrie Nation was an abolition, not an abolitionist. She was a, what do they call it? Teetotaler. Didn't want the alcohol. Carrie Nation grew up in rural frontier Kansas. And Carrie Nation grew to realize, she's a very religious, very devout woman. She grew to realize that all the problems in her town, especially the problems that were happening to the women of the West, the women of Kansas, and the children of Kansas, all of these problems were not entirely, but largely due to the fact that every single man was a raging alcoholic back in like 1880. Every single man was like, I'm going to drink a bottle of whiskey every night and then go home and beat my wife. That was what Carrie Nation saw as the great sin of the frontier. So she took matters into her own hands. She got a whole bunch of crazy ladies, and they went with hatchets and bats and all kinds of things and grannies. And they would burst into saloons when they were, like in the whatever the 1885 equivalent of Sunday football. She would burst into the saloons and just start destroying everything. All the liquor, all the kegs. The kegs were destroyed with hatchets, all of that stuff. The hatchet granny, Carrie Nation, born on this day, temperist. She was a temperist. Born on this day in 1846. Crazy-ass Carrie Nation. Born on this day in 1914, cuckoo, Joe DiMaggio. Nation turns its lonely eye to you. Joe DiMaggio, baseball player, New York Yankee. The Yankee Clipper. Joe DiMaggio, a man who, my mom will tell you, stepped on her toes when they were dancing. Something like that. It's funny. When you're a kid, you find yourself in a lot of rooms with adults. And I think that the common assumption among the adults is that he's just a kid. He doesn't know what's going on. So I listen to a lot of adult conversations. And there was a story I remember about my mom being out with Joe DiMaggio. Yeah. And you've heard stories. I've told my mom was a hot single woman. My mom was a hot single mom back in like the 70s. And apparently, as the story goes, my mom had something wrong with her foot. She had like stubbed her toe really badly or something. And she's dancing with DiMaggio, and DiMaggio just starts grinding into her feet. And my mom is trying to be nice and not be like, ah! I don't know. Mom's in the chat room. She could probably tell you more on that. Something like that. Something like that. You know, these things you hear when you're like 8 years old and you're like, okay, I'm going to put that in the back of my mind because I don't know what it's all about now, but when I'm 30, I might want to reinvestigate that story. All right, let's keep going. Born on this day, Joe DiMaggio, 1914. Born on this day in 1960, as we mentioned, John F. Kennedy Jr. You know, little John F. Kennedy. Hey, Byron and Barney think he's still alive. Yeah. I'm kidding. I do not believe. I shouldn't say that. I would be very disappointed to learn if Byron or Barney actually believe that JFK Jr. is that guy that goes around to Q rallies. I don't believe they do. I think they are intelligent, angry men. That's how I would describe them. And many of us are angry men. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to besmirch you. But you guys do, don't you? Come on. There's some part of Byron and Barney in the chat room right now where are like, look, I don't think he's still alive, but we don't know. You know, like, is there a part of them that is doing that right now? I don't know, we'll see. Born on this day in 1960, JFK Jr. Born on this day in 1971. Take a moment here. Let's talk about this girl. This girl's awesome. I love this chick. I mean, and not like, no, go, how do I say it? I just have such admiration for this woman. Considering, you know, what she was when she first became somebody that I knew, you know, an actress, the first time I saw her, to the way her career has gone, to what she has had to deal with. She's really, really a strong and cool ass woman. And I don't know, a lot of people like to call Molly Ringwald the princess of Gen X, but she might be our queen. Christina Applegate has a birthday today. Kelly Bundy, Christina Applegate. What is it about Christina Applegate that impresses me so much? 20 years ago, she had a double mastectomy and almost died of cancer. I mean, it was a very big story. She went through a lot her career. The reason she didn't just do everything else is because she's had serious health problems. And then she fights back and she gets healthy and she has that resurgence where all of a sudden now we're seeing Christina Applegate and things. And isn't this wonderful because she beat breast cancer? And then she gets that Dead to Me show, which is such a good show. And then that show starts to take off and they have to table it. Why? Because she's diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And now she's fighting through that. And she's showing up at, did you remember, I think it was last year, when Christina Applegate came out at one of the, I think it might have been the Emmy Awards, to like give a speech about something. And she was, remember, it was like she was in a walker and she's an incredible woman who is dealing with stuff that God forbid any of us should have to deal with. Our prayers go to the beautiful Christina Applegate, her birthday on this day, 1971. Born on this day in 1976, how about Donovan McNabb? Donovan McNabb. I had a great moment with Donovan McNabb once. My former partner, the late, great Kelly Moore, she used to date football players and stuff. Hockey players, football players, whatever. She was a chick and she was like, he's a pro athlete. I'll date him. Why not? Yeah, I'll have a story to tell. Anyway, she had one pretty serious relationship with a guy that lasted almost a year. I think it actually lasted over a year. Yeah, because there were 2 training camps where we were like, is he going to get cut? It'll be uncool if your boyfriend gets cut. Anyway, he never got cut. Point is this. So I'm out with one of Kelly's boyfriends. Me and some of my buddies would go out with Kelly's boyfriend. You know, Kelly had kids, but we go out. So we were all a group of friends. So we're out at this club, and I was out on this particular night with Kelly's boyfriend, who was Tyson Walter, his buddy Kurt Vollers, who was another NFL player, and Jules Jones, who was had a brief period of time as a running back for the Chicago, Chicago too, but the Cowboys. I was a big fan of Jules Jones from Notre Dame, so I was like, man, that's cool. Anyway, so they take us out to this bar in Dallas, one of the bar I normally go to, but apparently it's one of them NFL bars, and a whole bunch of NFL players were in town from other teams for some kind of agency. There's an agency based in Dallas, and like they brought in all of their people. So anyway, we went to this party at this club that had all these pro athletes, and I'm with, again, a couple of like third string on the depth chart linemen and Jules Jones, but whatever, fly on the wall. I'm watching this. This is fun. We sit at a table with a number of players. I don't even remember who some of them were at this point. Joey Galloway was one of them. I remember he was there. But the primary player that was there was Donovan McNabb, our birthday player. And Donovan is sitting there. And Kurt Vollers and I start talking, or somebody who started talking about, the dominance of like private school, high school football over, regular school, high school football. It is a stupid thing. Anyway, Donovan McNabb played at Mount Carmel in Chicago. Donovan McNabb is a South Side of Chicago kid. And I covered him when he was in high school. One of my first jobs for ESPN 1000 in Chicago was interviewing all of these like top Illinois high school football players, like the top 3 for player of the year. And Donovan McNabb was one of them. And I sat down and I wondered, would this kid remember me as like a guy that interviewed when he was 17? And he did. And I was so proud because at this point, Donovan McNabb was Donovan McNabb. And I'm like, he remembers me. He was nice. He was like, oh man, it's good to see you again. And I'm like, well, I've been following you. And he laughed. He was like, Anyway, Donovan McNabb's a really nice kid. And he was a nice kid when I interviewed him in like 1992 or something. It had to have been 93, 94, I think so. That's when he was in high school. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was before it was. I do remember this about the conversation with Donovan McNabb. I was teasing him. This is when he was in high school, not the one when he was later in life. But when he was a kid in high school, and I remember there was a chance he was thinking about going to Notre Dame. And I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and I was like, and it was between Notre Dame and Syracuse, right? I think there was another school in there. He ended up choosing Syracuse. And I was like, damn, I really wanted Donovan McNabb. It sounded like a perfect name for the Irish. McNabb. Doesn't get better than that. Donovan McNabb, born on this day in 1976. Really nice guy. Really good. Did the whole career thing right. Got out before the injuries were too bad. Got his money, is an ambassador, is a gentleman, doesn't really care if you're like, you suck, man. You're not even look, Donovan McNabb had a nice career. He's proud of his career, and anybody who loves him should be proud of his career. He's a hell of a football player. Good for him, and a good man. Good guy, decent guy. Good Catholic school kid. The Mount Carmel kid. Wore a suit and tie to school every day. Minded his P's and Q's. He's a good kid. Born on this day in 1976. Born on this day in 1979. One of them that guy actors who I want to bring to your attention. Here's why I want to bring him to your attention. He's a that guy actor, but I think that he's going to be a major movie star. He's a guy who has just been popping up in things for the past 10 years that I love. Just like, who is that actor? I've never seen. And then you see him again, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy. I think most notably, he popped up for me in House of Cards, the Netflix series House of Cards. I don't know if you, in one of the later seasons, they introduced a new character who was a governor who was running for president. Well, he played that governor. And now he's on one of my favorite shows and one of the most underrated shows on television, Apple TV's For All Mankind. Happy birthday to a guy, you may not know his name. His name is Joel Kinane. Joel Kinane, ladies and gentlemen, of that guy actor who I love. This dude is awesome in everything. He plays Ed Baldwin, who is who is Ed Baldwin? The TV show that he stars in currently on Apple TV, For All Mankind, is a alternative history of what, and by the way, just critically acclaimed. Just like everybody, like, that show's really good. It's an alternative history that supposes that we, America, didn't make it to the moon first. This series takes place in a world where the Russians made it to the moon first. So, and it's all about what that domino effect would be. Now, you know me, I'm a big space geek, and I always say that, quite honestly, one of the worst things that ever happened to us was getting to the moon, because we won that. We made it to the moon, and then we went, okay, we're done, and we stopped. This show supposes that if we hadn't made it to the moon first, if the Russians had won that, This show supposes that we would have just grinded even harder. And by 1975, we'd be on Mars. By 1980s, we'd have colonies on Mars. That's what this show is about. And it's really cool. And it combines real people from real history, like all the Apollo astronauts and all that kind of stuff, and names and all. It's a great show. And this dude, Joel Kinnaman, is the star. He plays Ed Baldwin, the lead astronaut. He's awesome. Great actor. Happy birthday to you, Joel Kinnaman. Kinnaman, I think he's Swedish. He's not even American. He's another one of those. Yeah. Like all our favorite shows. We're like, oh, I love that guy. And then you see him on Jimmy Fallon. And he's like, yeah, I just come to America and they told me I'll play a guy from Alabama. It's like that. And you're like, no, another American job lost to foreigners. Joel Kinnaman, Swedish actor. Dude looks like he's from Texas. I feel like that dude's from El Paso. I can tell. Nope, he's from Sweden, Joel Kinnaman. Born on this day in 1979. How about this one? Speaking of Texans, here's a Texas princess for you. Born on this day in 1981, Jenna Bush Hagar. Jenna Bush Hagar, daughter of Laura and President George W. Bush. I didn't meet her. I met her sister. I met her sister when my son was very young. We were at a park here in Highland Park. My son was only about 3 years old, and it was Easter morning. I've told this story before. It was Easter morning, Sunday morning, like 7, 8 o'clock. The kid was 3, so he's awake. I'm like, all right, I guess we got to do something. So we took the dog to the park, and we got in the car, and we drove a couple of blocks over because it was too far to walk. And we drove over, and we get to the park, and I put the kid in the swing, and I got the dog tied. This was back in the days when Blue, my Husky Timberwolf hybrid, this is back in the days when Blue was the big player in my life. And I had Blue, and she was tied up to a tree, and she's laying there, and I'm swinging the kid on the little, swing set there. Like I say, he's about 3 years old. And all of a sudden, I look, and this is right behind Snyder Plaza. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. So I look, and coming down the street, I see like the first thing I saw was a convertible BMW. And it was like, oh, look at this. Convertible BMW being trailed by 2 black sedans, 2 black SUVs. And they pull in, and the girl gets out of the BMW, and she starts stretching, and she's playing with her iPod. I think she had an iPod back then. That's how long it was. And she walks over to the little play area where I'm swinging the kid, and she's doing her shoes, and she looks up and she says, Happy Easter. And I go, Happy Easter to you. And she says, is that your son? And I'm like, yeah. And she walks over to him. She's like, did the Easter bunny come? And he doesn't know. He's like, and she's like, he's so cute. What's his name? And I'm like, Mason. And she's like, hi, Mason. I'm Barbara. And I'm like, come on. I knew what was going on. I knew who she was. It's like, and she's like 20 at this point, 21, getting ready to do a run in the park with her fucking Secret Service detail, just like standing there, just standing around. It was really cool. It was a cool experience to see how that all works. And then she left, and she said, it was nice to meet you. And I said, it was nice to meet you, even though we didn't actually meet each other. There was never an introduction. It was all just, I kind of put the context clues together. Her name was Barbara. We had Secret Service. She matches the description of the first daughter of the United States. So yeah, but she was very nice. She was really nice to she was very nice to my son. Sweet. And not in a way that she felt compelled to, just like in a genuine interest in a stranger. We're the only people in the park. It's early on Easter. She wasn't like, hi, little boy. And move. No, there was like a motherly, like a maternal kind of sweetness to her. I always like that. So happy birthday to the sister, Jenna. Jenna is not the one that I met. Jenna wins today's game. Birthday. Happy birthday. All right, there you go. Those are the birthdays. Let's move into quarter 3. Let's do the deads. These are people who died, okay? People who died died on this day, and we decide based on what we understand of their life, where they go. Did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? Okay, first person that's dead today, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, 1944 on this day. He's going to hell. Kennesaw Mountain Landis is a son of a bitch. Kennesaw Mountain Landis was the first commissioner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball didn't have a commissioner. And then the 1919 World Series happened, where there was this big scandal concerning a couple of teams who will remain nameless. And Kennesaw Mountain, no, actually it was, I always do that. I always want to phrase it that way and have a Cincinnati Reds fan in my presence when I say it's about a couple of teams who threw the World Series, because it's not. It's not about a couple of teams. It's about one team. But, I always say that. It's about a couple of teams. I'd love to say that to a Cincinnati Reds fan, just to see what they'd say if they'd pick up on it and go, wait, hold on, wait. No, it's not a couple of teams. It's you guys. Anyway, so Major League Baseball owners, after that, like in the days following its discovery, they decided they needed somebody to investigate it from outside. So they brought this hanging Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who took no shit from nobody, and he had the #1 hanging right. He was a hanging judge. He was a guy who put a lot of people to death. And they thought that was great. So he came in, and apparently he didn't even really understand baseball, or at least understand what baseball was, because he came from a community where baseball wasn't really that big. He came from like the deep South where they didn't even have a team. It wasn't like a whole thing. So he just, with a hand, just went, everybody's gone for life. And he just didn't even investigate. He didn't look at the merits of all of the charges. There were 10 names, and he said, okay, all of them are gone forever. There were a number of guys' names that probably deserved a second look, most notably the great Shoeless Joe Jackson, who did not do anything. He signed something. They got him signing that he agreed to this deal with the gamblers, but they don't have his name because he was illiterate. He signed an X, and everybody was like, he wasn't told what he was signing. Shoeless Joe Jackson couldn't read, and he was dumb. And he was a follower. He listened to what the cooler guys on the team said to do. And he didn't know what it was. And they know they needed him because he was the best player. So they tricked him. And he told him it was something else. And then even after all of that, it was just an X. It wasn't even his signature. So that you could have gone, that could have been anybody. But Shoeless Jackson didn't deny. He's like, yeah, that was my X. I did that, but I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know if you saw me in the World Series, but I hit like 450 and 4 home runs. And I mean, Shoeless Joe Jackson balled out in the World Series that he was convicted of throwing, which is just sad. So anyway, maybe at some point there'll be a revisit. Maybe we can revisit Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose as a tag team, okay? Kennesaw Mountain Landis died on this day, and he goes straight to hell, right? Dead on this day in 1981, Jack Albertson. Jack Albertson was the Man from Chico and the Man. He was an old racist white man who was forced to hire a Mexican kid. And he made a TV show called Chico and the Man. We're probably going to have to put them. I'm not going to put Jack Albertson anywhere because I don't know much about Jack Albertson. But the Man was kind of an asshole, and he goes to hell. He was an asshole. They were trying to do the whole Archie Bunker thing, except with a dude being forced to work with a Mexican kid. And Jack Chico and the Man. He was the Man. Dead on this day in 1987. I debated early this morning about how much time I want to spend on this, because this is a subject that I could do my own little rant on, but I think it would unnecessarily upset. And I don't know. It wouldn't unnecessarily upset anyone, really. Dead on this day in 1987 is a guy, a very provocative and polarizing guy where I come from, and I'm preemptively going to put him into heaven because I think, unlike a lot of the other people, I have actually studied this guy, and I've read books on him, and I've watched biographies on him, and he's a very interesting man. He's actually one of them dudes when you look at like all the shit that he did. Problem was he was the wrong skin color in a racist city. And on this day in 1987, Chicago Mayor Harold Washington, American lawyer, politician, the 51st mayor of Chicago, dropped dead in his office. I'm just going to give you an example. First of all, this guy was a very racist city council. And Harold Washington, it's funny because growing up, when the whole Harold Washington thing was going on, we didn't have Wikipedia biographies. We didn't know what people actually did. We couldn't, So this black guy is suddenly getting to be the mayor of Chicago. And I don't understand why all the white people in my family are so upset about it. Because you have to understand, all the white people in my family worked for the city of Chicago. They all worked for the daily administration. Their jobs for life were dependent on this guy being mayor for another 50 years or whatever. And then, suddenly there was this shift. And Harold Washington, who spoke for the South Side communities that were never really represented, rose up. He was able to break away from the vaunted daily political machine, create his own machine on the South Side using low-income minority, a cross-section of all the minorities, and he was swept into office, and it wasn't even close. I don't even know if people remember what the Harold Washington, he was unanimously elected and reelected, and he was very popular, except in the old established white communities where there were just, he's a criminal, he's a con man. Like there's this crazy story about one of the worst things about Harold Washington was that he was he's a criminal. I mean, he went to jail. The guy's been in jail. Like that's what, like I remember my grandpa saying stuff like that. So what did he go to jail for? He went to jail for accidentally misfiling his taxes. Okay, so they accused him of not filing taxes for 19 years, and that was like they could only prove like 4, and then that was knocked down to like a misdemeanor and not a big deal. But then there was one thing where he misfiled something, and they went after him for it. They said that's tax fraud. And he was at this time an incredibly powerful black man in the Illinois state legislature who really irritated the mayor of Chicago, Richard Daley. This is like the 1970s. So the mayor of Chicago called the Cook County board and said, look, let's bring charges against this guy. I know it's small. Never in the history of this fraud, this character fraud, has anyone ever gone to jail before? Or in the history of this fraud, has anyone ever been taken to criminal court for it? This is a civil thing, and there's right there, a $380 fine is all it takes. But for the same charge, Harold Washington in the 1970s was sent to prison by a trumped-up Daley administration charge. Why? Because Daley saw what was happening. Daley saw he was coming. As far back as the mid-1970s, Daley tried to destroy this guy. Those are the facts, folks. I mean, I don't know. My mom might be mad. My mom might be listening. Go, I didn't know any. It's all true. Daley's machine tried to ruin Harold Washington. And then when he died, it didn't even stop there. It didn't even stop in death. He dropped dead, shockingly. He dropped dead in his office, working the mayor's office, of a heart attack. He weighed 300 pounds. He was a big fat black man with hypertension and all kinds of well-documented health problems. It's not a big mystery that he dropped dead of a heart attack. Immediately following it, every white person in Chicago, he was cocaine. He was doing cocaine right there on the desk. It was all over. Yeah, the paramedics showed up and they said that there was cocaine everywhere. Cocaine. He was found with cocaine. The doctors at Northwestern Hospital, they pulled out a gigantic bag, a duffel bag filled with cocaine from his pocket. He was found in women's underwear. Was the next thing that and I was like 17 years old when he died. I remember I was in high school, and I'm hearing these things and I'm going, fuck. And at the time, it was all very believable because that was the brand. That was the brand that I was exposed to in an incredibly segregated political city. I only heard what the white people wanted me to know about Harold Washington. Harold Washington was a great man. He was a great man, objectively a great man, smart, came from a good family, came from a real good, dude was educated in a private boarding school, okay? People don't think that when they think of Harold Washington. They just think, oh, he's a gangbanging black guy criminal from the South Side. No, he's a fucking Northwestern law school grad, first in his class, Roosevelt University undergrad. Come on. It's about time the city of Chicago starts re-examining who Harold Washington was. He's got the library. He's got the world's coolest library. The Harold Washington Library is awesome. He needs something else. He was a good man who people were really cruel to. There you go. Putting him in heaven. Harold Washington, mayor of Chicago. Died on this day in 1987. Dead on this day in 2016. Can't say the same for him. Fidel Castro. We're going to put him in hell. Communist son of a bitch. We're going to put him in hell. All right, that's going to do it for the deads. Folks, how'd we do? The first 3 quarters are already done. We are ripping through this day. All right, let's jump into the chat room. Let's see how many of you people want to yell at me about stuff I've just said. Frank says redlining happened in Chicago. The Republicans don't run Chicago, though they should. No, they shouldn't, Frank. Good job, though. Let's see here. What else do we have? Frank, you people, and not just Frank. I'm just going to use Frank because he's the one. Would you people just stop? Just stop being. The Republicans should. The redlining Democrats. Stop it, Frank. Everything is not Republican or Democrat. You got to stop that. You got to stop it. Thank you, Frank. Happy Thanksgiving week. Let's see. What else do we have? Barney says, trumped up, you say, I don't know what that's in reference to. All the way back. Al Gamboa's got a prediction he shared in the chat room. He says Elon Musk is going to lead Space Force under Donald Trump. I don't think so. It's not quite like that. See, because Space Force isn't really a made-up thing. Space Force is a real military thing that's been around forever. It just got rebranded as Space Force. It was strategic defense something for years and years. So you can't just take a guy, and there's not a secretary position. There's not like a cabinet position for Space Force. Although, Al, you know what? He could just make one up. He absolutely could. I mean, you know me, everything's a construct. If Trump wants to say, I am going to add another seat at the cabinet for the Secretary of Space Force, I think there's already a general in the Pentagon who's in charge of, all of that stuff, who has been for a while, but who knows? Who knows? What else do we have here? Barney says, why did I think Jenna and Barbara were twins? Talking about the Bush twins. Barney, I know. I did too, right? Like, we're not crazy for that. I thought they're not. They're not, though, right? They're not, but we think they are. Was there a people maggot, the Bush twin? Is that something? I don't know. Are they twins? I'm not sure. Frank Smith, I'm still waiting for Thomas Massey or Ron Paul for ATF. And Frank, what the? Shut up about politics! You're waiting? Really? That's like something that you're really concerned about? How about be concerned about who's running your neighborhood school board? Focus on that. No, don't, actually, because you'll fuck it up, Frank. You'll get in there and you'll do crazy shit. So you know what? Yeah, maybe it's best for people like Frank to be focused on the ATF. Oh, my God. Who's this? Egg shortage at some supermarkets nationwide. And they have the sexiest woman talking about this egg shortage. Hold on. Let me show you. Okay. I need to not be distracted. She looks like she'd do karate in a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's like she's got straight black hair and she looks like she's Asian, but also like her dad was like a soldier. So she's got that hybrid thing and she's wearing like a black sleeveless where you see she looks great. She's real exotic and gorgeous. She's like talking about eggs, like eggs on supermarket shelves. Never saw her before. That's another thing I wanted to mention. I talk a lot about where I get my news from and how I don't trust any of the mainstream media, main cable operators, MSNBC, screw them, crazy liberals, Fox News, screw them, crazy, just liars. They just make shit up for whatever. Hey, stay tuned. We're going to tell you something crazy. That's Fox. And then you got CNN, which they are so feckless and gutless, and they are so completely trying to play both sides. It's fucking gross. So I don't like any of those. Spent a lot of time watching Sky News. I got a lot of stupid British news in my head. Like, did you know there was a shooting in London yesterday where an 8-year-old girl got killed and the whole city is freaking out about it? One little girl got shot and the whole city is shut down as they're looking for this dude who shot this little girl. That's London. They got their own problems over there as well, though. So let's not pretend like it's perfect. But I thought that was interesting. But you know what I've kind of become a big fan of recently for just actual news? During the show, while I do this show, I have a television, a monitor off to my right, monitoring breaking news. I didn't want to have it on CNN or any of those because I didn't want to be distracted by nonsense. But what I found was there is a 24-hour live streaming channel on YouTube, NBC News Now. NBC News Now. It's incredible. What do we got? We got NBC News Now. Okay, so we're in a commercial. It's incredible. Why is it incredible? Because it's just news. It's just news. It's just a person going, here's the next story, and this is happening elsewhere in the Ukraine. And then it's another story. And it's just one story after another. You know what it's not? Hey, let's have a whole panel of a bunch of know-nothing assholes scream about it. It's really refreshing. It is journalism the way it's supposed to be done. Who? What? When? Where? And why? All right, not how. That's who, what, when, where, and why. Those are the only rules you need for telling a story about news. Now, if you're attempting to inform people who, what, when, where, and why, that's it. That's it. Nobody except NBC News Now seems to follow that formula anyway. Anyway, I love it. It's great. If you just need, like, if you have a TV in your house that you just like to have news on for breaking news, you don't want to be distracted by nonsense and have your brain polluted by people saying stupid things that make sense to you. That's the real problem that I have. I have found myself in situations where people have said fucking stupid shit on TV, and I've been like, that kind of makes sense. I can see how. And then I got to reinvestigate. And I'm like, no, wait a second. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. Let's really think about what he just said there. NBC News Now doesn't do that. So anyway, I like that. I'm liking it. It's not MSNBC, okay? It's not like no, it's just people you never saw before, just news people just doing top stories, headline, with none of this long form breakdown. I mean, they go to reporters and stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, they have reporters live on the scene from, all that, but it's not. There's no divisiveness. There's no intentional divisiveness. The actual facts that are put out there may in and of themselves be divisive, but there is no attempt to be divisive the way all the other news channels are. We're going to draw a line. What side are you on? We'll tell you when we come back from this commercial for Carnival Cruise. No, see, that's not what they do, and that's what I'm sick of. All right, let's go. Dead people. We're done with the dead people, so let's go into the top stories, right? All the big-ass things people are talking about. Hold on, give me a second. I do one more time want to remind all you folks that we do run this show on your tips and your gratuities. The big tipper of the day is typically rewarded with the title of executive producer. We do not have an executive producer today, as we haven't been tipped in a bunch of days. But if you are so inclined and you want to help keeping this show going, and you know how to do that. Guys, I gotta take a break real quick. I know I just said no breaks, no interruptions. I gotta piss. What do you want? I'm a middle-aged guy. This is like my third one of these today. It was preceded by 2 coffees. So I got to go take a quick piss. But we're in no hurry. We're hanging out today, right? We're in no hurry. We're going to get into all the day's headlines and the big stories. Here, I'll tease you with what I got coming up and what you're going to hear my rants and hot takes on. We're going to talk about the new cabinet. We're going to go through some of the people and so how diverse of background, political ideology, and well, it's a diverse cabinet. We'll go through some of these things. Also, Musk, we're going to talk about Elon and him buying MSNBC, which he's been threatening or at least joking about would probably be a very easy pickup for him. MSNBC is going to be so cheap. Comcast is, again, they're divesting all of their dead weight, of which MSNBC is a part of. So we'll see about that. We'll learn about that. A big movie weekend, right? How did Glicked do against Barbenheimer? Or Barbenheimer, Barbie and Oppenheimer released on the same weekend. Who was the big winner there? We had a repeat of that this weekend with Wicked and Gladiator 2 opening at the same time, and they're calling it Glicked. We've been Glicked this weekend. We'll talk about that. Conor McGregor news, Joe Rogan news. What else do we have here? Oh, I want to get into this. These parents. We've got some parents who are protesting up in New Hampshire. A trans student playing soccer from another school. We'll talk about what it is that they're doing, and we'll hash through that whole thing, okay? We've got some deaths, got some crazy video from around town. I'm going to talk Cowboys. I'm going to talk top 25. I'm going to talk the best fucking TV show I've seen ever. All of that and more coming up, okay? So we'll get into all of that today. Bear with me. I got to step away. I got to go to the bathroom real quick. It's a good time for you guys to maybe tip the show or something. I don't know. Do what you do. I love you anyway. Back. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Man, it's wild here in the design district today. We do this show from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, the E Gallery in Dallas's fabulous design district. It's dead. There's like tumbleweeds. It's like there's nobody. There's nobody in the design district right now. Why? I think it goes back to what I said at the start of the show about rich people. They're done. Thanksgiving started last Thursday. They take a whole week and a half for Thanksgiving, rich people. In this area, which is usually filled with rich people, a bunch of ladies and fancy coats and their drivers opening doors for them as they buy their artworks or their expensive couches and their incredible floors, all of that stuff. All of that stuff is there. There's nothing going on out there. Well, I'm gonna need to freshen my soda. How you guys doing? Mikey D says, my friend gets to go to the Bush residence. Physical therapist for W. Says he's a really nice person. That is awesome. Now that is cool, Mike. Yeah. Yeah, man, that is everybody. Every single person says the same thing about W. He's awesome. Everybody. They say the same thing about Clinton, though, so be careful. They also say the same thing about Obama. But those three guys, man, they somehow, and maybe that's how you get to be such a successful politician. Maybe that's an X factor, where you just have to have this ability to make the people who are in front of you feel special, feel seen. I hate to sound like, I feel seen, but, a lot of times you meet people and you're looking past them. How many times have you been introduced to somebody and within 30 seconds, you have no idea what their name is? They're like, wait, what was his name? Now, what's that caused by? That's caused by our own anxiety and insecurities. It is. I know we don't want to think about it that way, but why is it that we meet, let's say, Jim? We're introduced. Pugs, this is Jim. Jim Pugs. Hi, Jim. How are you? And then you turn. In like 30 seconds, I'll be like, excuse me, I'm so sorry. What was it? Was it G? And, you got to ask him the name again. It's our own. That's an insecure. That's my insecure. You know what? I'm going to talk about it from my standpoint. Okay. I don't want to be accusatory. Some of you people just can't take these kinds of criticisms. I've learned through years of therapy that kind of thing is due to one's own insecurities. What happens in that split second where you're meeting someone for the first time and learning their name? You're probably inside. You're not calm, cool, and collected. Inside, you're going, okay, who's this? I don't know this person. Oh my God, is this person going to like me? Oh my God, are they going to think oh my God, how am I dressed? I don't know this person looks so bad. And that's where you're learning the name, but your mind is going, oh my God, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know this. That's it. It's just personal. Just get over it. Just when you see you're about to meet somebody for the first time, trust me, I don't forget names anymore. And it's because of this. When you size it up in your head to a split second thing. Oh my God, I'm going to meet somebody. Dial in. You're meeting somebody for the first time. Dial in, remember their name, repeat their name back to them. I did a little example of that. Pugs, this is Jim. You want to meet Jim? Hi, Jim. How are you? Say it back to him. It helps. I used to be terrible with that. But Kelly, my partner Kelly, she can never remember anybody's name. And it's insecurity. You're like, I'm not insecure. Yeah, you are. Everybody is. And don't think that just because you have it that now you're like, oh, I'm an insecure person. Every single one of us. Insecurity is a naturally occurring thing of a human. Humans have insecurities. How do we hide them? How do we overcome them is the big important question. Jeff Ballard says he's going to shit on, but here we go. Jeff in the cornfield. I think he's going to shit on W. Here we go. Because we're not, he can't allow someone to be multifaceted, can't allow someone to be a cool neighbor. He's got to bring up war crimes or some shit. I don't know where this is going. I'm going to read on. Jeff Ballard says, maybe nice in person, but still an evil. There it is. So broken that you just can't fucking forget the politics. I never voted for W. Never voted for him at all. I know a guy who says that, well, actually, I don't. I don't know this guy. I believe it was a story that I heard on the radio. But there was a guy who spent a whole afternoon with George W. at a hardware store in Snyder Plaza, which is the strip mall in my neighborhoods where I walk to. Yeah, I know some of you just laughed because I called Snyder Plaza a strip mall. But there's a little old-timey hardware store up in there, and apparently George W. is known to putter around there from time to time. So if you go in there, that's George W.'s hardware store, and he'll talk to anybody about anything. Whatever you want to talk about. I'm sure he won't talk about, weapons of mass destruction. But if you want to talk about how, ceiling fan versus, window unit, he'll have that conversation with you. I'm just tired. Just stop it. Just stop it. Whatever he did with it, I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about how the man is right now when I run into him, when he runs into a stranger. Is he putting positive energy out there? Is he a nice person? Oh, but Pugs, 20 years ago, he put so much negative energy. Oh, stop it. Move on. I am certain that W is an awesome guy. His daughter was wonderful. And again, never voted for him. I didn't vote for that guy. First time in 2000, no way. I hadn't even moved to Texas yet. And I saw this guy and I'm like, no fucking way, hillbilly. Nope. He won anyway. 2004, who did I vote for in 2004? Who did the idiots on the left run against Bush in 2004? Was it Gore again? They didn't run Gore again, right? Was that Howard Dean? No, that wasn't Howard. Well, I don't fucking know. I don't even know. Anyway, let's move on. All right, here. See, Jeff can't let it go. Jeff's broken. He thinks it's cute and he thinks he's being funny, but really, and I'll okay, it's fun in the chat room and all that, but tonight, laying in bed, think about that. Think about how your mind goes to that first. How you just can't help but every single one of your thoughts, opinions, ideologies to be filtered through a lens of your politics, be they pro or con. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it with your politics. All right. Should we get started with the stories? All right, let's get started with the stories. Here we go. First story. What do we got? We got Treasury Secretary. All right. We got a new guy being named for Treasury Secretary. Trump. What's this dude's name? Scott Bessent. Is that him? What to know about Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary pick. Here's what you need to know about Trump's Treasury Secretary pick. He's a... He's George Soros' chief financial advisor. Been involved with Soros people for all eternity. He's a liberal. He's a Democrat. And Trump's putting him in charge of the money. Ha ha! Feel had yet? Well, I don't know. You feel had? I'm telling you. He's putting a liberal Democrat who is like tied to the hip of George Soros, a guy who, as best as I can tell, he runs the insurance company with that lizard, right? Isn't that what he does? But apparently George Soros is like the most, if you're like over on the crazy right, but even it's drifted into the middle. Like I've heard this in the middle. He's like the worst person ever. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. He's an insurance company executive. I tend to believe he probably is the worst person ever, but whatever. So yeah, that's the Treasury Secretary. So we got this guy coming in. Then comes this story. Somebody compiled this. This is the Wall Street Journal today, compiling what they are calling the most diverse cabinet in recent memory. Nothing captures the dramatic ideological transformation of the Republican Party more vividly than President-elect Trump's proposed cabinet. All right, he's got a pro-abortion rights, lifelong liberal Democrat running the Health and Human Services Department in RFK Jr. Yeah, all you guys do is believe, or you line up with him only on the vaccine thing. Wait till you hear what else he believes. Talk radio in America is going to have fun with him. They haven't really delved in. He's a crazy environmentalist. He believes in global warming and all that kind of stuff. But luckily, he'll be at Health and Human Services where he can only bring polio and measles back. He won't actually. We'll see. All right, let's see. That will be funny though. I mean, I'm through the looking glass, right? Because I'm not going to get measles or polio probably. But it will be interesting if in like 5 years from now, it's like, we've seen our first cases of measles. Be like, all right, here we go. All right, so he's got RFK. We know who he is. He's got a pro-union centrist running the Labor Department in Lori Chavez de Rimmer, former Democrat out of Oregon. A pro-union. She's pro-union, and she's running the Labor Department. Imagine saying that on, I don't know, Don Bambinggiano. Who's that guy that does red? Dan Bingigniano. He looks like he spends too much time in a tanning bed. Imagine saying that about a Trump proposed labor secretary 2 months ago. Yeah, he's going to put a pro-union chick who used to be a Democrat from Oregon into the labor sector. You talk radio would have gone nuts. Or actually not true. They wouldn't have gone nuts because they don't turn on Trump. What they would have done is say, this is why he's such a genius. You see, because all along we all knew that union, we're all pro-union actually now. He's crazy. So you got a Democrat, you got a Kennedy, a liberal Kennedy too. He's like a real liberal Kennedy. You got a real liberal Kennedy running Health and Human Services. You got a pro-union Democrat he's putting in there at labor. Okay. He's got a former elected Democrat as Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. I know you guys, you like her because she was on Fox News and shit, but all the other shit she believes, you don't. You goddamn liberal. Have you heard her trans views? Have you heard her LGBTQ? Have you heard all? Oh, you're not going to like any of that. You're not going to like any of that. But that's okay. That's okay. It's very, very. And then, of course, we've got this one, the latest one. Former George Soros chief advisor, who now promises Trumponomics will turn around the country will be running the Treasury Department. Wall Street Journal sums it up why it matters. And it says, lost in the noise of Trump's most controversial picks is the simple, undebatable fact that this might be the most ideologically diverse cabinet of modern times. Not against that. I am not against that. Unless, as I've heard people suggest recently, now that he's president again, and he's not going to run again, he's done. Now that he's here, he doesn't have to worry about, he's going to go back to who he always was, which was New York liberal Trump, who was actually, but you know, a 90s liberal is kind of a modern moderate. So maybe this is going to work out. I'm just saying, man. I know you don't like the man because he seems like kind of a jerk, and you don't want him to have all of these things that come, the accoutrements that come with being president, because it's cool being president, right? And you don't want a guy who you don't like, who's kind of a dick, who you feel is undeserving of that level of honor. You don't want him in the position. I get it. That's fine. Get over it, is what I'll tell you. Just get over it. The president is for me, when I was a little kid, the president was like, it was like Zeus. That ain't what it is anymore, man. It's just a dude. It's a popularity contest with dude who gets to swing his dick for 4 years and then, let the charges fall where they may. Nobody is. I think we've seen the last Roosevelt. I think we've seen the last true statesman leader. It's a popularity contest. A bunch of politicians get to see who gets to win the big chair. It's like a TV reality show now. That's what the presidency is. So don't worry about that. They're going to see him. He represents all he does. No, he doesn't. No, the president of the United States does not represent all Americans anymore. That was a thing before TV, before any kind of electron. People know what Americans are. Americans are in all different kinds of things. Stop it. I'm not freaked out by this cabinet. I think some of them, like Tulsi Gabbard, like I don't like her there, and I would not vote if I was a senator to keep her there. But I do like the idea that he doesn't seem to care that people are different ideologically from him, and he's giving these people a position of power. Tulsi Gabbard should not be approved without a doubt. She won't be. She'll be the Hegseth will go next. He's out, but then Tulsi will go as well because she's not. There's a lot of problems, and the senators aren't gonna. They're not. They're just not. Anyway, point is this: pretty diverse cabinet. Now I wonder, because that was Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal is typically a conservative paper. They've often been critical of Trump, but have been seen recently as being sort of a All right, let's do this when it comes to Trump, right? Even though they are a conservative paper. I don't know if the Wall Street Journal, by putting this article out there, is being snarky. Like, are they saying this is a good thing the way I'm sort of taking it? It is a good thing to have people exchanging ideas that aren't all in lockstep with one another. That's how new ideas are born. And sometimes new ideas are great. Yeah, I don't know. All right, moving on. Elon Musk threatening to buy MSNBC. MSNBC is being split off by Comcast. He could probably buy it for the money that he's got in his ashtray in his Tesla. Do Teslas have ashtrays? I bet they don't. No way. That's like the Tesla, like regardless of what you think of Musk, the Tesla is like a super lefty liberal Hollywood car. I can't imagine there's ashtrays, right? Like, we don't think people should smoke and we don't want to encourage them. Bitch, if I'm paying 70 grand for your stupid fucking electric plug-in car and I want to be able to smoke butts, you better put a fucking ashtray in there. Not that I would, I don't smoke, but you know what I mean? All right, Glicked. Let's get to this. The big weekend box office. A lot of people were looking at this because, the last time anybody ever went to a movie was like 2 years ago with Oppenheimer and Barbie. Hey, guys, maybe spread out the big movies. How about that? How about instead of having two, there's only two, Hollywood is now releasing 2 movies a year that anybody wants to see. And they're releasing them on the exact same day. They've done this twice now. Nobody gives a shit about do you know how much money the theater industry is hemorrhaging? I mean, it just sucks. Theaters suck now. Actually, when you do go to a theater, they are actually a better experience because the theater industry has been like, let's give them reclining chairs and waitresses. That's really nice. I do like that. And that has become sort of the norm of a theater experience. But still, screw you, dude. I've got a 75-inch screen on my wall in my bedroom. I can lay in my underwear in my bed and watch, all of these things that are now popping up direct to video. So, TV home viewing is really the way to go, if you ask me. Anyway, point is this: 2 big movies this weekend: Wicked and Gladiator 2. I can tell you, unlike Barbie and Oppenheimer, I really wanted to see Oppenheimer. I was like, yeah, all right, I want to see that. That looks really good. I wanted to see Oppenheimer. I was intrigued by Barbie just because of the cast. I liked everybody in it. And I'm like, I'll sit through that. But, I'm not like a Barbie guy, right? I wasn't the target. So there was that. I got to be honest with you. Wicked and Gladiator 2, I don't really have any interest in either one of them. I don't. I think the original Gladiator is one of the most wildly overrated films of all time. I think it's exciting. I think it's good. And I think there's cool scenes and it's violent, but it's not a good film. The story is really basic. There's no like twists and turns and intrigue. It's dumb. Anyway, it's cool. He fights lions and stuff. I like it from that aspect, but I just don't think that Gladiator was worthy of a Best Picture. And I certainly don't think it's worthy of being considered one of the great Hollywood films of all time. One of the biggest, most successful. Sure. Absolutely. Gladiator was huge back in 2000 when it first came out. But here we are 24 years later. And because the film industry is so desperate, we know what we're going to see. We're going to see Shawshank 2. I promise you, that's coming. Shawshank 2, Life on the Outside. We're just going to be what they did after. I don't know. Did they die in Shawshank? I don't know. Maybe it'll be, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Wicked, which is, of course, somebody said something funny over the weekend. Somebody referred to The Wizard of Oz. Somebody referred to The Wizard of Oz as Wicked Part 1, which I thought was cool because, of course, Wicked is an updating and an extension of the Wizard of Oz universe, right? It focuses on the 3 witches, or was it 3 witches? Is it Glinda the Good Witch and then the Wicked Witch of the West and whatever? That's what Wicked's about. I don't care. Seems very chick targeted. I don't care. I don't even care. Like if you remade the Wizard of Oz. Actually, I'd see that. I was just thinking about that. I was like, if they remade The Wizard of Oz, would I see that? No, because the Wizard of Oz is like, I feel like I've seen it 15 times. I don't think my son has ever seen it. Has that stopped? Has that tradition where there were a few generations where television was airing The Wizard of Oz regularly? So for a couple of generations of children, The Wizard of Oz became a staple of their childhood. It ain't anymore. My son doesn't know what the fuck Wizard of Oz is. He's like, what is that? I'm like, tornado. He's like, let's just watch Twister. He literally said that once. I told him it was cool. It was about a tornado. And he said, yeah, speaking of, I want to see Twister. Okay. So sorry, Wizard of Oz. I would like to see him. He reacts much the way my 15-year-old son reacts much the way I do to certain things in films, like he's my son and he's genetically like the same. I want to see once they start singing and dancing in The Wizard of Oz. I want to see his reaction. I want to see. I think he'd like the Lollipop Guild though. I think that's good. All right, stream of consciousness is taking me into the weeds. I know. You know why I'm upset? I'm upset because not upset. I don't want to say upset. I received a piece of information that I wasn't expecting, and that is that my kid, is like going to Oklahoma for Thanksgiving. I thought I was supposed to get him on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is my weekend, but it falls on the holiday, and he's going to Oklahoma, and that's fine. I'm just teasing. I'm kidding. It's totally cool with me. I mean, I'm going to get him for like the next 2 weeks straight because apparently they don't go to school anymore. No, I don't know. But he's going to do the next 2 weeks, so we're good. We're fine, and it's a great opportunity for him. So, and I'm not doing anything anyway. Point is this: we were going to go see Gladiator 2 this weekend. That was going to be the only reason that I was going to see Gladiator 2 because he had some interest in seeing it. He had no interest in seeing Gladiator 1, though. That really upset me. Last weekend, he's like, okay, so next week after it comes out, we need to go see Gladiator 2. And I'm like, dude, have you seen Gladiator 1? He's like, no. And I go, all right, well, let's watch Gladiator 1 tonight. And he goes, I knew you were going to do that. I should have just told you I saw it. I go, no, because then I would have quizzed you. Because he does that all the time. When he's afraid to say he hasn't seen anything because he thinks that I'm then going to go, let's see it. And it has happened before. I was like, you didn't see that. Yeah, I did. Dude, you have never seen Citizen Kane. I did when I was like 8. What's it about? It's about a citizen. And he doesn't know. All right, let's find out what happened. So Wicked kicked Gladiator 2's ass. Both of them did pretty well. It was a good weekend. It was nowhere near the good weekend that Barbenheimer had back in the summer of 2023. It says here, with a combined 270 million in worldwide ticket sales, Wicked and Gladiator 2 breathed fresh life into a box office that has struggled lately, leading to one of the busiest movie-going weekends of the year. It says here, Wicked starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. I don't know who's Cynthia Erivo. I looked at seriously. I don't know who that is. I've only been seeing the picture right here. I'll show you. I mean, like the Wicked picture. Right? So like this is like, I'm like, okay, I know Ariana Grande. I don't know. I thought that was like, I don't know who's Christina Erivo. What is her name? Cynthia Erivo? I don't know who that is. I thought that was like CCH Pounder or some shit. I don't know. She looks like somebody that I've seen before in a lot of movies, but it's not her. It's somebody I've never seen before in any movie. She's a Broadway star named Cynthia Erivo. So anyway, there you have that. I felt a little betrayed when I found out it wasn't. Octavia Spencer or CCH Pounder. I don't know. That's what I thought it was. I don't know. I'm a racist, apparently, because, green makeup. I don't know. With a combined 270 million in worldwide ticket sales, Wicked and Gladiator 2 breathed fresh life into the box office that has struggled lately. Wicked, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, debuted with 114 million domestically and 164.2 million globally for Universal. Let's see here. That made it the third biggest opening weekend of the year, behind only Deadpool, Wolverine, and Inside Out. That's right. That was another one. That was a big one. All right. So look, there were people saying Wicked Gladiator 2 could be the new Barbenheimer. Not only was it not the new Barbenheimer, it wasn't even the new Deadpool, Wolverine, and Inside Out 2. Third. It's like the third biggest. Ridley Scott's Gladiator, a sequel to his 2000 Best Picture winning original, made $55 million. So look at that. Wicked did $114 million. Gladiator 2 did $55 million. That's an ass kicking. That wasn't even close. It wasn't like the nation's divided on what they should go see. No, what this looks like is that most people couldn't get into the sold out Wicked and ended up seeing Gladiator 2. Anyway, there you have it. That's the big movie weekend. They also believe both of these movies will continue to climb throughout the holiday season as, people will... I'm sure Wicked will do crazy business. I don't know. Gladiator 2, I think it's going to depend on the reviews. But Wicked doesn't need to be a good movie. You know why Wicked doesn't need to be a good movie? Wicked doesn't need to be a good movie because it's for women and their daughters while they're Christmas shopping. It's a movie when you're at the mall and you need... That's what Wicked is going to draw on. And they're going to do crazy business. Gladiator, it's got to be a good movie and your dad's got to want to see it. That's basically the only way they're going to do big business. Matt Gaetz is pretty much done with politics. A lot's been written over the weekend. He seems to understand this himself. He has said that he will neither attempt to regain his seat in the Congress. He can still actually, go to Congress. He's not done yet, but he resigned. Remember he resigned when he thought he was going to be the Attorney General? Poor little misguided silver spoon prick. He thought he was going to be the Attorney General and he gave up his seat, which, ended up stopping the ethics investigation that was into him and underage sex and teenage prostitution and drugs and all of that stuff. All of that goes away when he resigned. Of course, Trump pulled the plug on his AG nomination, calling him last week, telling him, look, dude, ain't going to happen. You ain't going to make it. So since then, he has said, Matt Gaetz, that he will not be trying to reclaim his seat, at least not now. I mean, I don't know if he didn't say at least not now, but he said, I will not be trying to reclaim my seat. He also said that he will not be accepting a nomination by Governor DeSantis, because there were a lot of people that were saying, well, Marco Rubio's Senate seat's going to need to be filled and DeSantis should just put Gaetz in there. But Gaetz and DeSantis haven't been altogether close. Remember, there was some ugliness between the Trump people and DeSantis, the people actually running Florida. So that's not going to happen. DeSantis is not going to do that. If anything, DeSantis might appoint himself to that senator seat, which is something we should be looking out for because he is trying to raise his profile nationally. He wants to be president. Although, historically speaking, a lot of senators don't become president. That is not the way to the White House. Anyway. That's just something people said. So what is Matt Gaetz doing now? Matt Gaetz has signed up for Cameo. I got to be honest with you. He's going to make so much money on Cameo. If he is willing to accept Cameo dollars from haters, Matt Gaetz is going to. So Cameo is that thing where you get to Skype with somebody, where you pay like whatever. And then, you want Matt Gaetz to wish you a happy birthday. He Skypes you and he's like, hey, man. And you're like, hey. He's like, I'm Matt Gaetz. And you're like, yeah. So I just want to wish you a happy birthday, man. It's really weird and awkward, but it just, it's an easy way to make money if you're a celebrity. I mean, it's beneath a lot of people. Like it's a beneath kind of, it's not I don't know. It's not something you should be proud of, I think. I think that, Leonardo DiCaprio isn't on Cameo. You know what I mean? I mean, it means that you're just trying to make money wherever you can. So Matt Gaetz is on Cameo. How exciting is that? Matt Gaetz is following in the footsteps of another Republican who left Congress under a cloud of controversy by joining Cameo. Of course, we know who he's talking about there. He's talking about that Santos guy. Remember that guy, George Santos? A day after withdrawing from consideration as Donald Trump's attorney general and hours after the now former Florida representative said in an interview that he would not return to Congress, Gaetz created an account on the app on which celebrities and other public figures can charge hundreds of dollars for personal video messages. I served in Congress. Trump nominated me to be United States Attorney General. That didn't work out. Once I fired the House Speaker, reads the profile for the former. Okay, whatever. We don't need to go into it. whatever. He's going to make some money off gullible people who are willing to, and he's got no shame. So if people want to be like, I hate you, he's going to be like, yeah, you do. Keep paying me. I take all of those. He's got no shame. He doesn't care. All right. A little breaking news in the Melendez story. A judge has rescheduled key resentencing hearing for the brothers. They were expected to be in a Los Angeles courtroom today. The judge has said, time out. Now, you may remember a couple of weeks back, there was all this hubbub coinciding with the release of the Menendez brothers miniseries on Netflix that they might receive not a new trial, but resentencing based on new evidence. They've been in prison for 30-something years for the killing of their parents. Big nationwide story, covered wire to wire by everybody back in the early 90s. And big shock to a lot of us who lived through that to think that they might be getting let out. Former Los Angeles District Attorney, or I should say outgoing Los Angeles District Attorney, said he was going to recommend to the court that they be resentenced, which would have been, that's a way of saying they're going to let them out. Because whatever the resentencing is going to be, they will have already served more than what the resentencing is. So they would be released. That, of course, got upended when that DA lost re-election just a couple of weeks ago. So now they got a new DA coming in who promises he's going to look at that. Now, today was supposed to be the day that they would have been let go. There would have been a hearing on the resentencing today. Had the other DA won, right? Had he won re-election, today would have been the day where the Menendez brothers would have been walking free. But that didn't happen. They showed up in court and they went, look, there's a lot going on. The new DA doesn't exactly know what this is all about and he'd like to look into it. So we're going to reschedule this. So it's not dead. I think they're probably still going to get out, actually, because I don't think it's insane that they might be moving on. Anyway, there you go. That's the Menendez brothers. What else do we got here? Conor McGregor has been found guilty in an Irish court of rape with civil, right? This is always, so don't pay. Yeah, it's not criminal. Don't pay her. You're Conor McGregor. Here's what you need to do. Conor, you need to get like a big bag. You need to put like, what do you got, 100 million? More than that? Proper 12 is taken off. That's going to make him a billionaire. I'm not kidding. Conor McGregor's Proper 12 Irish whiskey is really good Irish whiskey. It's really good. And it's priced at a price point that is about $3-4 lower than everybody else. He is selling quality 12-year-old Irish whiskey at like $13 a bottle. It's crazy. Anyway, he's going to be a billionaire from that. He's going to do that whole Ryan Reynolds thing. Like, you know how Ryan Reynolds got all of his money because of that Mint Mobile? Seriously. Anyway, Conor McGregor needs to take like $100 million, needs to bury it somewhere in some bog out there in Ireland, and he just needs to be like, I ain't paying her. And then they're going to come, they'll take whatever they take and all that stuff, and they'll be fine. But he shouldn't pay her. Civil court. Take me to court. Put me in front of a judge to threaten my freedom if this is true. I hate this. Civil court. And they went, I mean, I think that if you're like suing someone in civil court, a really big question that must be asked is, why isn't this in criminal court? Why are you just asking for money? It sounds like he did something that he should be locked up. Don't you want him to not be allowed to do this to other women? What's the civil court about? Well, I mean, I guess law enforcement didn't find enough cause to actually file criminal charges, but, you know, she got her money. This is also very complicated because I happen to know the kind of person that Conor McGregor is. I don't know Conor McGregor, but I've been watching him since years before he was famous. I knew Conor McGregor before anybody knew his name. You know, back 2004, they were talking about Conor McGregor. I'm probably not that late, but I do remember hearing his name for the first time on one of the Rear Naked radios that me and Richard Hunter used to do, our syndicated MMA radio show from about 15 years ago. So the question is, do I think Conor McGregor got drunk and raped this chick in a hotel? Do I think he did it? I don't know what to think. Do I think it's something that he might do? Yeah, I do. He's an idiot. He's a big, dumb, volatile, I mean, like he's like the nicest guy in the world, and he loves you. And the next minute he's like, I'm a crazy drunken Irishman. I mean, so I mean, I think it's possible. But why? Where are the criminal charges? Why isn't he in jail? Why is he just, he's got to give her? Well, here, I'll give you the story. Let's see how they're calling this here in the UK, because honestly, this didn't really make any wave here. Conor McGregor has been ordered to pay £200,000. What is that, like $350,000? Right? Something like that. £200,000 would be about $350,000 American. I don't know. Somebody in the chat room will fix me, but that's ballpark, I think. Conor McGregor has been found liable of assaulting a woman who accused him of rape in a Dublin hotel 6 years ago. The former UFC champion, McGregor, 36, had faced an accusation in the civil action that he brutally raped and battered. Brutally raped and battered should not be a charge you face down in civil court. Brutally should be in criminal court. That sounds like it's Your Honor, I'm sorry. It seems like you've got the wrong venue for this trial. McGregor, 36, had faced an accusation in the civil action that he brutally raped and battered Nikita Hand in December of 2018. The Irish sports star told the court he had consensual sex with Miss Hand in a penthouse at the Beacon Hotel. Miss Hand, 35, who is also known as Nikita Nilamian, was also suing another man, James Lawrence, for assault. The jury found Mr. Lawrence did not assault Mrs. Hand. Is this the same case? Or did she also in the past bring charges against another guy and didn't win in court? Let me read this carefully. The Irish sports star, McGregor, told the court he'd had consensual sex with Miss Hand. Miss Hand, who is also known as Nikita, she's got an alias, was also suing another man, James Lawrence, for assault. The jury found Mr. Lawrence did not assault Miss Hand. All right, I'm going to draw from that this is a singular incident involving both Conor McGregor and James Lawrence. She was suing both of them. James Lawrence was not found liable, whereas Conor McGregor was. Okay, that's how I'm going to move forward through this. Because it's a different story if this guy was a woman. Well, she sued this guy 2 years ago for the same thing in law, right? That's a different story. Reasonable minds have to recalculate and go, okay, let's take a look at the land now. Let's see here. Speaking outside the court, Miss Hand said, I am overwhelmed by the support I've received from everybody. I want to thank my legal team and my 3 barristers. They've been amazing from start to finish. I'd also like to thank the justice, the jury, and all the witnesses. I want to thank the doctors, nurses, and everyone at the sexual assault unit at Rotunda Assault, especially my own doctor. I want to thank the rape advocate. I don't care. She's thanking people. She's like, I want to thank the Academy. I want to thank the Academy of Rape. I want to thank the UFC for giving such bloated pay-per-view deals to Conor McGregor, making it possible. I couldn't have done this without you, Dana. I couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, we're good. We're going to move on. What else do we have here? Do I want to get into this? All right. I should have done this earlier. Like, this is like its own thing because I can get so freaking passionate about this. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to allow myself to go off the deep end on this. I really thought I was. I mean, I wanted to get into a real passionate argument about this situation, but I don't want to. I really don't. I got a meeting at 3:30. I got a meeting in an hour. I can't. So here's the story. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this as straight as I can. Okay. Joe Rogan said some things on his podcast that were incredibly stupid. Okay. Poorly informed, seemingly outrageously biased for some reason or another. And he made these comments concerning the Ukrainian people and what's happening there between the Ukrainians and the Russians. Rogan went way pro Putin. So Vladimir Klitschko, one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, the Klitschko era. The Klitschko era killed heavyweight boxing in America. It blew it up around the world. But in America, there was a 10-year period where the Klitschko brothers were just cleaning out. And most people in America don't even know who the Klitschko brothers are because they weren't American. They weren't American champions. We all know Leon Spinks and we all know Mike Tyson, but no, we all tuned out. As soon as it was like Russian dudes kicking everybody's ass for a decade, two brothers who incidentally never fought. Cute enough, they promised their mom when they started boxing, when they were both young heavyweights, they had to promise their mom that they would never fight each other. And they would both go on. Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko would go on to be champions, heavyweight champions at different times. They did never fight. Vladimir Klitschko is the one that we're talking about here. His brother Vitaly Klitschko is the mayor of Ukraine. He is also a military commander now for the last couple of years he is the commander, well, as the mayor of Kiev, he's like the commander of the Kiev Brigade, which is been on the front lines from the earliest. I mean, when the war first started out, some of the coolest first things we saw was the former heavyweight champion of the world, I mean, it was interesting. So that's Vitaly. Vladimir, the one that we're talking about here, he's the better boxer. The one that we're talking about here is the better boxer. He is considered one of the great heavyweights of all time. His little brother is also a really good boxer, but not in the same league. Okay, so both champions, both WBO, WBA, whatever. But the former champion, who has the long-term relationship with actress Hayden Panettiere, from Heroes, the cheerleader from Heroes. She was all, they were there. I don't know if they were ever married. They have kids together. There was a big custody issue about, Hayden Panettiere not wanting to give the kids back after the breakout of the Ukrainian war. Do you remember that? Like Vladimir Klitschko was like, "You better send my kids back, bitch." And she's like, "No." So anyway, that's him. That's two brothers. So Vladimir Klitschko, again, the guy who's married to the Hollywood celebrity and, who's probably one of the great heavyweights of all time. He made a message to Joe Rogan. It's not a bad message. It's a message of a man whose country is going through some things. And it's a message of a man who has represented his country. The Klitschko brothers, Ukrainian boxing wasn't really a thing until they dominated everything. So they're very important. They're very, very big symbols of their country. So Vladimir makes this message to Joe Rogan. Well, here, I'll play it for you. Here you go. This is the message from Vladimir Klitschko to Joe Rogan after Joe Rogan said some incredibly stupid things. But Joe Rogan will tell you that he says stupid things. And the great thing about Joe Rogan is that when it's revealed in a conversation with a guest that it was a stupid thing, he'll admit it. Joe Rogan is not an expert in any of this stuff. Joe Rogan is an entertainer. Joe Rogan is a comedian who is a good conversationalist, who's curious about things, but he's not intellectually schooled in many of these things. He's self-taught. A lot of the stuff Joe Rogan says, he cites, well, I Googled it on the internet. That's how most of us are. The vast majority of us, that's how we go through life. But we should never be given expert status or considered to be somebody whose take on a specific I don't know, geopolitical situation like what's happening in Ukraine should not be given any credibility because he's fucking the guy from Fear Factor who read a bunch of shit on Wikipedia and watched some YouTube videos. He's not an expert. The problem is he's entertaining and I love him and I love his show. But the problem is that a lot of people who listen think he is an expert. And the shit that they hear when he's fucking around, Joe Rogan fucks around in conversations. He takes devil's advocate positions all the time just to see where the talk goes. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times those devil's advocate positions get clipped and then they go viral and they're like, Joe Rogan wants to rape zoo animals. You know, they get taken out of context or whatever. He's a great conversationalist, but he's not a fucking NATO expert. He's not. Stop it. It's why I always say Joe Rogan is who stupid people think is smart. Stop it. He's great. I love his show. Listen, I can't wait. What's the one that I want to hear? There's one that's coming up that it doesn't matter. Anyway. Excuse me. Anyway, here you go. Let's watch this. This is Vladimir Klitschko, brother of Vitaly Klitschko. This is not the mayor of the Ukraine because people in the threads, they're completely confused by all of this. People in the threads are like, he's the mayor of Ukraine. And then other people are like, no, that's the other one. He's a 5-time champion. Yep, that's the one. So here you go. This is what. Here you go. Here's the Klitschko direct message to Joe Rogan after
being sent to Ukraine.
Some really alarmingly stupid things.
Joe Rogan, I listened to your latest podcast. I'm sending you this video to let you know that I disagree. You talk about these American weapons being sent to Ukraine, which you believe will lead to the Third World War. So, let me tell you that you're repeating Russian propaganda. Putin's Russia is in trouble, so they want to scare you and people like you. His war was supposed to last 3 days. It has lasted 3 years, thanks to the heroism and sacrifice of us Ukrainians. So you're using the only weapon that Putin really intends to use, propaganda. And this weapon really weakens our democracies. Putin's Russia wants to destroy Ukraine quietly. They want America to stay quiet, not great, but quiet. A great America is not an America that abandons countries that defend freedom with their lives. In short, you see, I have quite a few points of difference. If you invite me on your podcast, we could discuss them like free men.
All right, so there you have it. There's Vladimir. I don't know, the W, is it a V or is it Vladimir or Waldemir or what? It's not Vitaly. Vitaly's the easy one. That guy who we just saw there was the better, but they're both great boxers. They're both like, name the 25 best heavyweight boxers of all time. Both of them are in there, but one of them is just significantly better, and that was him. Joe Rogan responded to that. Let me read you Joe Rogan's response. It's just so classless and just so fucking. That was a man speaking directly to the camera, man to man, about facts. He wasn't being insulting. He said he was wrong. He explained, Joe, you don't really get what's happening here. I can hear the fucking bombs dropping outside my windows. I haven't had water or electricity in years. This is a man who is fighting for his country. And Joe Rogan makes $200 million sitting smoking pot in Austin from Spotify. He's a soft fucking bitch. And this guy's a goddamn warrior fighting for the freedom of his people. And this is what I didn't want to do. All right, we're good. He's fighting for his people. Joe Rogan is, hey, Jamie, play another video of a guy getting kicked in the nuts, which is why I'm so fucking pissed at Rogan today for the way he responded to that. Like a classless asshole. Here's how Rogan responded to that. All right. The X account for Joe Rogan subsequently tweeted in response. By the way, this is very important. The X account for Joe Rogan. Will Joe Rogan have deniability that he wrote that tweet? The tweet I'm about to read you. The response to Klitschko. We might be finding out that Joe's not writing his tweets. We might find out that there is somebody in the Rogan organization who puts out these tweets, because Joe might want to back off that. Joe, that is not in character for Joe Rogan. I'm very surprised at his response to Klitschko. Here it is. Here's what an account for the Joe Rogan podcast, the official account for the Joe Rogan podcast, subsequently tweeted in response. Does this make any sense to anyone, or just an attempt to get on the podcast? Is he just trying to get on the podcast? He's just trying to, like, I don't know, does he got like a .com or something? He's got some merch he's trying to move. Is he trying to get on the podcast? Fuck you, Joe. Fuck you. Are you fucking kidding me? You have people on who hunt Bigfoot. You have fucking fighters that nobody's ever heard of, but a goddamn dominant world champion suggests he should come on. And oh yeah, by the way, he's also an expert on a serious world event that you're running your mouth about. That guy says come on, and you minimalize him as somebody trying to get on your fucking podcast? You asshole. Please, Jesus, have that not have been Joe. Please, Jesus, have that response have been some fucking stupid intern who thought, hey, Joe's going to appreciate this because I'm going to be an asshole. It is not insane to think that Joe Rogan would have, it wouldn't be insane that he would have either of the brothers, considering what they're doing every day. They're fighting a fucking war in their backyard. Literally their backyard. Literally, they open their window and they shoot at something flying over. That's their reality. Not Austin, not Lady Bird Lake, not fucking smoking weed and going down to the comedy club, Joe. Have some fucking respect for people who are fighting for freedom. And that's what they're doing. It's exactly what they're doing. Now, I don't want to hear any of your bullshit. Well, the Ukrainians are Nazis. So are the fucking Russians. Just stop it with all that shit. I am talking about a people who were invaded. That's all. People who were invaded by a known madman. Putin is a known madman. He's invaded Ukraine. They are fighting back. They were supposed to have gotten their ass kicked in 3 days. It's going on 3 years. You don't have any fucking appreciation for them. You're not like, holy shit. Let me tell you something. As an Irishman, I do. As a motherfucking Irishman, I got pride, I got hope, and I got the backs of the Ukrainian people who are doing exactly the same thing that my people had to do against the British for 800 fucking years. So I don't want to hear about Putin, punters, laptop, Biden, Ukraine. Fuck you. We're talking about a people who saw a world power decide that they wanted to take their country over. And these people fought back, and they've been fighting back. And Joe Rogan is going to go on a podcast, or he's going to go on Twitter, and he's going to make fun of fucking Vladimir Klitschko, who just gave a very Joe, please, you're very influential. What you said, you're wrong, and I want to come on and talk to you about it. Let's do it. Come on. That was essentially what Klitschko said, and Joe was like, he just wants to get on the podcast, right? He just wants to move merch. That better not have been Joe. I swear to God, I've known Joe for 30 years now. That better not have been Joe. I've always thought he's a bit of a douche. I've always thought he was a bit of a douche. I mean, come on, Joe Rogan did our show 3 times a year for 15 years. And did you ever wonder why we never went out or hung out with Joe Rogan and his crew? Because they were kind of dicks. Why are we hanging out with Bill Burr? Why are we hanging out with Louis C.K.? Why is fucking Frank Caliendo taking us all out to dinner? Because they were nice guys. Joe Rogan was a good guest who always came in and was kind of a fucking dick. He was kind of a fucking jerk. So whatever. I mean, I think he does probably the best podcast on the planet. He is the greatest conversationalist that I've ever heard since Howard Stern. Howard Stern's a great conversationalist. Danny Bonaducci's a great conversationalist. I would like to think that I'm a pretty good conversationalist if I could ever have somebody else in here that I could talk to. But Rogan is so good. His show is so good. This makes me so mad. Have him on, asshole. And please, please have the person who wrote that tweet be some fucking kid, and then make him apologize, turn it into a bit, make that kid come out when you have Klitschko on and like apologize to him or something. Just that was such a beneath you Joe Rogan response. You think he wants to just get on your podcast? You should have had him on your podcast years ago. He seems like the fucking typical podcast guest. But no, now you want to belittle him. In defense of Putin. All right, here we go. Let's keep moving. We got a lot more to get to. I told you I was a powder keg today. I told you there were a couple of stories that just fucking bug me. How about this one? Ready? Now let's talk about some parents. Oh my God, we got another crazy issue here. So there's some parents. Actually, here's the funny part. These dudes, they're not even parents of kids that play on the team. No, they're working on behalf of the rest of us. So, maybe we had a meeting. We couldn't make it to the game and protest. So they're going to show up instead. One of these parents, I mean, they have kids in the school, but not on the team. This is not a school district defends decision to punish parents for wearing pink XX wristbands at a girls' soccer game. I don't know what that is. So these two men showed up at this girls' high school soccer game, and they were wearing pink wristbands with XX. What is that like some crazy far right? We hate fucking chicks with dicks, so this is gonna be our brand. What is that? What it is? I don't know. I don't swim in those waters, but whatever. Okay, so they're doing this. I gotta be honest. That seems fine. What's wrong with that? I can wear any armband I want. Okay, it'd probably be a problem if it was a swastika, maybe, right? So maybe not any armband. But I don't know what the fuck that means. If these two dudes shot, I wouldn't have a problem with it. They're not inciting me. They're inciting people. That's the complaint. No, they're not. I don't even know what that is. It just looks like two weird guys who are like maybe in some kind of pink XX. What are these guys, gay? What's their thing? What are they, into each other? Concord, New Hampshire, a school district official who punished two parents for wearing pink wristbands marked XX during a soccer game featuring a transgender player defended their decision Friday at a hearing. Kyle Fellers and Anthony Foote were banned from school grounds after the September game by officials who viewed the wristbands as intimidation or harassment of a transgendered player. They later sued Bow School District, and while the no trespass orders have since expired, a judge is deciding whether the plaintiffs, the two dudes who showed up with the pink double X's, were banned from school events. A judge is deciding, whether the plaintiffs should be allowed to wear the wristbands and carry signs at upcoming school events, including basketball games, swim meets, and a music concert while the case proceeds. First of all, here's what I want to know. What's going on in the school district that they have so many transgender athletes? Isn't that still kind of a rarity? I know that we're all ginned up thinking they're living next door and all that. But I go to a lot of high school sporting events. Hell, I just went to a girls' basketball game. I was there with my son. It's not like I'm just suddenly taking an interest in girls' high school basketball. I was there with my son. Let's just say that maybe there's a player on the team that he has taken an interest. I'm just saying. Maybe not. No embarrassment. I don't see a lot of transgender players. I really don't. I saw we had a chick last year on my son's undefeated freshman football team. We had a chick who played cornerback, and she was really good. She was really good. She played the whole season. She's not playing this year. That was like a big letdown for me this year when we got into the season. I'm like, dude, that chick playing? He's like, nah, she's not playing this year. I'm like, why? She started. He's like, I know. She was good. She was the little girl who came up to me once and she said, I was standing at a practice and she walked by me and she goes, are you Mason's dad? And I go, yeah, I am. And she goes, he's the best lineman on the team. And I was like, oh, it was so nice of her to say. She knew I was the dad and she knew that was going to make me feel good. Anyway, I like that girl. She doesn't play anymore. Then two teams have girl kickers. Apparently girls soccer is, a big thing. Some of these girls can actually boot it. So I were two teams, one team last year had a girl kicker that was varsity, and she was a varsity girls kicker, and she was booting it. Me and E went to that game, and E of E Gallery. Me and E went to that game, and we're like, this girl's gonna get a scholarship. We're gonna hear about this girl in a couple of years. She's gonna be kicking in college football. And then there was another little girl that kicked. But I don't think I've ever seen any transgenders. I mean, my son wrestles. So I don't know. Anyway, apparently in New Hampshire, these guys want to be able to show up to every event. Any trannies? I mean, that does seem like they're anticipating a problem they may have been ginned up to think is bigger than in actuality. But okay. Kyle Fellers and Anthony Foote were banned from school grounds after the September game. Let's see, judges deciding whether they should be allowed to wear the wristbands and now carry signs at other school sporting events. Both of these dudes testified on Thursday that they didn't intend to harass or otherwise target a transgender player on the opposing team, and their attorneys have argued that they did nothing more than silently express their support for reserving girls' sports for those born female. Well, I would like to right now take a moment and express my support for girls' sports remaining female. I absolutely support that. I would also like to say I don't support these two douchebags. I don't support these two idiots being mean to some kid. Stop it. It ain't about the kid going through the thing. You don't need to create special situations so that the kid going through the thing needs to feel even badder about themselves. Badder? I said even badder. I'm an idiot. Let's see here. Both school officials testified Friday that they had reason to believe that the men wouldn't stop at silent protests. Superintendent Marcy Kelly and Bow High School Athletic Director Michael DeSaletis, fucking me. First read, extraordinarily complicated last name that I have never seen before, DeSaletis. And I'm telling you, that's the proper pronunciation. I can do ethnic names pretty good. Michael DeSaletis derived. Oh, and then I can't do. I butcher the next word. That's. I'm such a loser. I nail Michael DeSaletis, and then I butchered described. Sports athletic director Michael DeSaletis described receiving strongly worded emails from these two knuckleheads in which they called themselves real leaders of men who were prepared to take action, and seeing the social media posts urging others to attend the game. All right, so it's one of these social media guys who's firing off emails to the school athletic director talking about how real men are going to take, that whole shit. So they're using all of this shit against them in court. Don't be stupid. Don't fire off fucking drunken emails at midnight to the school athletic director. It's only going to be used against you once you inevitably cross that line. And you will. Because you're a fucking idiot. You're a dumb guy. You're a dumb guy who I believe is on the right side of history. And you just fucking dick tripped onto that side of it, I'm guessing. Let's see here. What else do we got? When we suspect there's some sort of threat, this is what the two guys say. They're the Avengers of the community. They say, when we suspect there's some sort of threat, we don't wait for it to happen. Comparing it to the way school officials would wait until a fight broke out between two students before intervening. Kelly also pushed back on the idea that the plaintiffs were simply expressing support for their daughters and their teammates in general, noting that they chose the one game involving a transgender player to begin wearing the wristbands and that neither had a daughter currently on the team. So I don't know why they're there, but there you have it. See how complicated life can be? I'm actually on the side of these two morons, although I certainly do not advocate or appreciate the way they're going about it. They're just looking for attention. They're just like, we're in New Hampshire and we want to be men, and they're just doing stupid shit like that. You know what a man is? A man is cool to all people. A man knows where the line is, and should you cross it, will put you back on the other side of it. But a man doesn't go looking for people to line step. All right? These guys are looking for trouble. These guys are just out there. Let's be men. Let's stand up and say we don't like chicks with dicks. I know you can't say that anymore. Pugs, you're so offensive. No, I'm not. I'm good with all people. Please stop it. Nobody cares. Least of all of them, the only people who care about that stuff are people who are allies, you know. Let's see. Let's go. What else do we have? The other day I was talking about how Dana Carvey, remember he unveiled his new Musk impersonation? Dana Carvey has signed essentially a full year to appear in every episode of Saturday Night Live. Him and a number of other cast people from the past have done the same. This is the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. So Lorne Michaels is going to mix in to the cast some old cast members. Dana Carvey was set up to be Joe Biden for, a while, whatever. Don't know how long that really would have gone. But anyway, Joe Biden certainly isn't an impersonation that Saturday Night Live is going to want to do. They're keeping him pretty much in the closet. When was the last time you saw Biden? I don't think I've seen him in forever. I think it's only the people on the far right who are still obsessed with Biden. I haven't seen him. I don't know what he's doing. So he's supposed to play Biden, but then, nobody's doing a Musk, right? There's no Musks out there. So Dana Carvey decided I'm going to try and do an Elon Musk. And that one's got legs, I think. Like Dana Carvey, if he can really nail an Elon Musk impersonation, that'll give him, cause to be in scenes for the entire year. That's pretty good. Okay, so his Musk sucked. Dana Carvey, who is great at all characters, whether he's creating them from whole cloth or being George Bush, not gonna do it. He's Johnny Carson. He's terrific, fake or wholly created characters of his own. So I wouldn't put it past him being able to nail one, but he came out and he did Musk and it was terrible. It was like, I was like, that's not good. Well, guess what? I don't have to feel bad about that. Dana Carvey himself thinks his Musk sucks. He's like, it's not good. It's not. He doesn't have it. He didn't nail it. Now I can't impersonate people, but I became fairly good friends with Frank Caliendo for a period of years back a few years ago, and I used to talk to him about how he could do it. Same with Craig Gass, who's another really good. I'm obsessed with people who can do these things. And it's about, both of them said the same thing. It is just about, you hear something, you hear something that you just in your mind, you can imitate. It's either a way that a tenor to the way they talk or whatever. Anyway, it's really, I don't have that ear. I can't do it. I could never do any impersonations, but Dana Carvey is certainly one of the best. And Dana Carvey admitted that he has struggled to come up with an accurate impersonation of Elon Musk. Carvey portrayed the billionaire Tesla and SpaceX CEO on November 9th on the show, just days after President Trump secured a second White House term. During the episode, cast members opened that we don't need this one. Carvey as Musk made a cameo. We don't need to see it. Who cares? In response to a clip of the segment posted on his social media platform, a Trump booster commented, SNL has been dying slowly for years. Oh, hey, Trump guy, that's such a unique thing to say. I can't wait for you to come back around in a couple weeks and tell me that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, because you're so interesting. You say things, really? Holy shit, I haven't heard anybody say that Saturday Night Live hasn't been good in years in seconds. I hate that. Just stop being programmed and saying stupid shit you've heard before. Nobody thinks you're cute or original. What we do is we think the exact opposite. Oh, you're fucking just a dumb guy who hears other people say things and goes, I've heard that said before, I'm gonna say it. Jerk off. Let's see here. A Trump booster commented, SNL has been slowly dying for years as they become increasingly out of touch with reality. Their last-ditch effort to cheat the equal airtime requirements and prop up again, one of these things. Anyway, moving on. Dana Carvey thinks his Musk sucks, and he's going to work on it, and that's good. Work on it. I'm sure you'll nail it, and I'll be there. I'll be like, he nailed it. I hate that. Ugh. Do you know why everybody says SNL hasn't been funny for years? You know why? You know why so many people feel that way? You're not wrong for feeling that way. You're right for feeling that way. It's true. It is your truth. SNL hasn't been funny to you in years. You know why? Because SNL doesn't target old people. SNL always targets people between the ages of 18 and 34. That's who they're going for. Now, that's gotten a little bit older. It's gotten a little bit older as the show has progressed. Now they're looking at 25 to 54. Well, when you hear a 65-year-old go, that show hasn't been funny since Belushi left, that's because that comedy was your sensibility, your generational tone. It resonated with you. And then a couple of years later, comedy evolves and it changes, and the kids get a new star that they like, and they introduce that person, and all the kids are going crazy for it. And you're just seeing it now for the first time because you're 38. You're not 22. You're 38 and you're seeing it for the first time. And you're kind of uncomfortable with the fact that people say this is great, but my God, you didn't get that reference. What is that? What's he talking about? I don't know what that means. So suddenly the comedy isn't good. It's not you. It's not you that doesn't get the comedy anymore. It's the comedy that's not good because you are an egomaniac who can't step outside yourself and go, you know what? Maybe I'm just not into that kind of thing anymore. Saturday Night Live has reinvented itself for a younger demographic every year. That's why they always introduce a whole slew of new 24-year-olds. Okay? Saturday Night Live has never introduced a new cast member who was 60. They haven't. So that's why people say that show hasn't been funny in years. If you try and keep your mind young, and especially if comedy is important to you, then you probably keep your mind in a younger sort of comedic tone. My son is incredible for that. My son likes all this crazy YouTube shit that I just can't get into, but I can see talent. Like I can be like, okay, I didn't get that reference, but that dude's got charisma. I can see why he's popular. Saturday Night Live is funny for a specific people, shrinking audience just because people don't watch TV as much, but they're also more clip-oriented and pre-produced oriented than they've ever been, and that's because of the younger generation's need for non-appointment viewing TV. The younger generation watches clips, and that's where you get the rise of the Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island, or you got the whatever the different groups are every year on Saturday Night Live who makes the pre-produced films and silly songs. They're good. They're great. Every year they're good. But that's why they do it. They do it because that stuff goes viral. And that's what the younger generation is about. And that's what me and grandma and everybody else is like, I don't get why it's so funny anymore. Dana Carvey doesn't like his Musk. Chuck Woolery is dead. Aww, Chuck Woolery. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Chuck Woolery, game show host. Great head of hair. Love Connection, right? And before that, if you're old like me, you remember him as the Wheel of Fortune guy. That's right. Chuck Woolery was Wheel of Fortune before Pat Sajak. And then Chuck Woolery did Love Connection. I used to love Love Connection. Love Connection was on, I want to say, after school. It's like we get home. It wasn't on like 4:30 in the afternoon. And then again, I think they reran it at like 10:30 at night or something. But Love Connection was good. I think I'd like to watch an episode of Love Connection. I think I'd like to watch an episode of Love Connection from like 1996 just to see what those people were like. Like, what did they talk like? Like, what was that show about? Anyway, Chuck Woolery died. He was like 80 years old. Let's see here. Let's give you a quick little rundown on this guy. Former TV personality, hosted Wheel of Fortune for years prior to Pat Sajak. Chuck Woolery, the original host of Wheel of Fortune and an iconic force on a number of game shows over the years, has died. He was 83. Woolery hosted Wheel from 75 to 81 before serving as master of ceremonies on several other game shows. All right, let's see. Love Connection, of course. Scrabble, no idea. Dating Game, not interested. Greed, never heard of it. Lingo, I'm going to pass on that one. And most recently, he hosted the Fox Nation special 80s quiz show. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like something I'd be into. All right, what did he have? What did Chuck Woolery have? Well, what he had was 83 years on this planet. His cause of death remains unknown. Okay, there you go. Chuck Woolery. Godspeed, dude. 2 and 2. Oh, here's something that broke on Friday, man. So 2 things. What time is it? 2:50. Hold on. I got a meeting, so I got to make sure we don't run too late. Hold on. Oh, damn. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got a text I got to return. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Where was I? I was talking about something that seemed kind of important. Adam Rain in the chat room. This is how I always refresh my mind. I go to the chat room and I just start reading. Adam in the chat room says, the oldest average crowd age at a karaoke show. I'm usually the oldest or close to it. This one, I was closer to the... Oh, did I walk into a middle of a conversation? Do I need to back it up? Adam says, the DJ at the karaoke bar had the misfortune of letting all of us Gen Xers know about his death. Oh, Chuck Woolery? Adam, are you Gen X? I thought you were a millennial. Well, you're fine. I don't know if I want you in Gen X. You seem to have a very... you can be in Gen X. You can do whatever you want. It's America. There are no rules. Say whatever you want. Let's see here. Go through the chat. We'll see what else is going on. Sorry, Jeff. The Emperor of Iowa is trying to engage me in some stupid Die Hard as a Christmas movie talk. I will not take the bait. You're an idiot. The movie was released in the summer. You're a moron. It's a Christmas movie. It happens at Christmas time. A lot of things happen at Christmas time. Doesn't make it a Christmas movie. It was released in July. Christmas movies are typically movies released around Christmas time to capitalize on the Christmas box office. Die Hard wasn't that. It wasn't that. That's okay, because we don't need facts. All we need is what we think feels right. And you know what? Die Hard seems like a Christmas. What's the motherfucking Christmas message? There is no Christmas message in Die Hard. Oh, this is going to be a fun week. There ain't nobody here. I'm all by myself. I can go nuts if I want. The E-Gallery is my playground. Adam says, I'm technically Gen X, but also I'm the youngest of 6. So I always wanted to be older growing up. All right. Do whatever you need. All right, let's jump back into it. What are we going to do here? Let's see. What do we need to do? Oh, yeah. This is what I want to say. So in my neck of the woods on Friday, there was Lovers and Preston. Okay, I didn't even pull up a map right there. I didn't even pull up Lovers Lane and Preston Road in Dallas. Highland Park, University Park, Park Cities, whatever you want to call it. That intersection, half a mile from my house. I'm closer to Mockingbird and Hillcrest, but anyway, it's right there. It's the other corner of my neighborhood. So on Friday, some dude is coming eastbound on Lovers through the intersection there at Preston. I mean, I think there's a Jack in the Box there on what might be the northwest corner. Wait, Lovers and no, this is Preston. I'm thinking Inwood. Yeah, that's the Inwood. Okay, so this is, I don't know, probably some hedge fund corporate office is right there on the corner, right? Dude comes flying through at 85 miles an hour and T-bones people right in the intersection. Just people in the neighborhood just driving, going to the store. There's a nice little mall right there, whatever. This dude comes into that neighborhood, 85 miles an hour, blows through everything, and people are dead. Terrible car accident right in the middle of Highland Park. Some dude Some dude comes 85. He's just, I don't know what he was. It was terrible. Anyway, it was a huge thing in the area. It was on Friday. It was bad. But so that's Highland Park. That is like one of the wealthiest zip codes in America, having this like just mayhem. Now that's just traffic mayhem, but it's criminal mayhem. Some dude, 85 miles an hour blowing lights. What's going on here? So that's mayhem in Highland Park, kind of thing those good people are not accustomed to. Same day, South Lake, Texas. Do you guys know anything about South? Well, sure you do, but I don't know if people like maybe listening outside the Dallas area, I don't know if they know about South Lake. Let me put it to you this way. The Jonas Brothers live there. I mean, South Lake is... So, go to Zillow, right? Like, it's like... Go to Zillow and look at South Lake. What's the average home in South Lake? 7 million, 8 million. They've got $100 million mansions that world famous global superstars build in South Lake. It's out in the suburbs, right there. Very convenient to DFW. Like it's like a 5-minute ride to DFW. Yet weirdly enough, no air traffic. Planes do not bother South Lake. They go around to Farmers Branch and bug them people. I don't know. There might be air traffic. It's just I always make fun of my friends who live in South Lake. So South Lake, check this out. Did you see this video? This comes to us from our friends at Dallas, Texas TV, who do some of the best local news coverage, at least as far as viral things go. So here's what happened in South Lake on Friday. Mayhem in Dallas's best neighborhoods. So here's what happened in South Lake. We're going to watch this video. This comes to us from a, excuse me. This is a security cam in front of a jewelry store in front of the South Lake Town Square. Now, if you know South Lake Town Square, you know, ritzy, dingy, very nice. Like, you know, we normal people, we have strip malls, right? We got a nail place, maybe a donut shop, a convenience store. Maybe there's a tavern, who knows? And that's what we get. They get the South Lake Town Square, which is like this amazingly beautiful suburban paradise. It's really beautiful there. So this is all happening right in front of there. 19-year-old kid from Colleyville, son of an oil company executive, a rich kid. Apparently, he stole mom's minivan because he's cruising around in a gold minivan, and I don't think a 19-year-old, he's going the wrong way. Going the wrong way out in front of South Lake Town Boulevard. He runs headfirst into a mom who had just dropped her kid off at South Lake Town Square because he worked there. Yeah, give him a job, drop him off, dropping her kid off at the job. She pulls out into the road, and this idiot, this 19-year-old rich kid from Colleyville, going the wrong way, slams into her head first. She's fine. They weren't going all that fast, but it was fast enough to jack up both cars. 19-year-old idiot in mom's stolen minivan. He decides to back up, goes around her, and then continues going the wrong way where he hits 2 more people. Okay, now he's hitting 2 more people. At this point, I guess mom's minivan is, you know what I mean? It's not running anymore. So, and he's a crazy redheaded ginger. He jumps out of the car, again, in front of South Lake Town Square, right? There might have been a Jonas brother there shopping for something. You know, you never know who could get hurt. So he jumps out of mom's minivan now. He runs to the back, and he pulls out a big old gun. A big old gun. And instead of exchanging insurance information and waiting for the police, this is what that young man does. Again, this is in front of South Lake Town Center Friday afternoon.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun!
Can I point something out? I want to play that again. I absolutely love that. Did you notice the response time from the South Lake Police Department? No, I know. They were probably already on their way for a car accident. But it's like the minute you hear the gunshots, woo, it's like immediately the police are coming to help the rich people. Here we go. Let's go. Watch this again. And by the way, this looks like phony. This looks like something that's not real, except there's news stories and real news organizations are showing that the gunshots sound phony. Him running, the dude running and high stepping as the bullets create divots in the grass that he's running on. That's right out of a movie. That's dance, some bitch dance. And you start shooting at their feet. Watch this one more time. Jeez. Oh,
He's got a gun! He's got a gun!
Look at it right here. Look at this guy right here. Look at these bullets are just missing his feet. This is like a movie. And here come the police. All right, South Lake. South Lake getting crazy. South Lake out there cosplaying like the South Side of Chicago on a Friday before Thanksgiving. That is crazy. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Let's keep going. Let's stay local. What do you say? Some more local stories here. Let's talk about some sports. Let's do the 25. The new AP Top 25 is out, and oh my God, I got to tell you, I woke up. It's so cute. My son calls me this morning because they don't have school, apparently. There is no school. Apparently, you just got to watch wrestling all day now. That's going to be the new curriculum for my son. And let me tell you, he's all for it. So he calls me this morning. He's like, Dad, did you see the new AP? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. He's like, Dad, all 3 of our teams are top 10. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. So as you know, my son is a high school football player, and he has 3 schools. He wants to play college football, and I don't know if he's gonna, whatever. He's good. He's 50. He's good at 15. Is he going to be good at 18? Whatever. Kids change, so no pressure or whatever. But right now, it's fun for a kid to dream and all this stuff. So he's gotten. Besides, my kid is straight A's. He's a genius. We're gonna get some academic scholarships anyway, so we're fine. We're gonna take advantage of all kinds of academic, because he's gonna qualify for a bunch of those. That's good. So his top 3 teams are 1 and 1A is Texas and Notre Dame, right? He wants to go to either Texas or Notre Dame. And I'm like, well, how are we going to decide it? And he said, who asks first? I'm like, okay. Which, by the way, I've got a bit of an angle in here because I want him to go to Notre Dame. But his mom is a Texas grad. His mom, a Texas UT athlete, UT grad school, all that stuff. His mom is UT. So at some point, I'm have actually gone to Notre Dame, but only like them because I'm Irish and they were in the Chicago area, and Irish Catholics in Chicago were, you had to be a Notre Dame fan. I think I might have to go, all right, dude, your mom actually went there. That's your thing. So if you want to choose Texas over Notre Dame, look, could you imagine if he had that choice? Like, dude, if you got that choice, it's all on you. And you know what? I don't care. You're good. Either way, I'm a big UT fan too. So let's go. Hook 'em. So it's UT, Notre Dame, and SMU. Those are like his 3 college programs that he wants to play for. So he called me very excited. The top 25, the AP top 25, as we head into the all-important section of college football. Number 1 in the nation, undefeated at 11-0, is Oregon, the Ducks. Big Ten. Number 2 is Ohio State, 10-1. Big Ten. Number 3, formerly number 1. And I got to be honest with you, folks. I think Texas could beat both Ohio State and Oregon. I do. I really do. So, okay. So, fine. We're in 3rd. 1 is Oregon. 2 is Ohio State. 3 is Texas. 4 is Penn State. Big Ten. 5 is Notre Dame. Independent. 6 is Georgia. All right. Georgia. 7 is Tennessee. 8 is Miami. 9 is SMU Ponies. My God. SMU, the Mustangs, are the number 9 team in the nation. The Mustangs, 10-1, Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm really happy for them. It only took 40 years. It only took 40 years after receiving the death penalty. SMU SMU was always the number one team in the nation back in the days of Eric Dickerson and Craig James. And back when Ron Meyer was coaching, he would go on to the Patriots. He would lead them to a Super Bowl. Of course, they ran into the 85 Bears, so Ron Meyer's Patriots kind of got their asses handed to them. But still, it was an important football program in America for a lot of years. SMU, national champs, Eric Dickerson. I mean, it was good. And then they got the death penalty because they were cheating sons of bitches. And 40 years later, they finally returned to the top 10. Did they flirt with the top 10 like a year or two ago? I don't know, because I haven't heard anybody else talking about it this way, but I don't think so, right? I mean, because I do remember a couple of years ago when they made it back into the top 25, and we were all really happy for them. Like, look at SMU making it back into the 25. Well, they're top 10 now, baby. That's awesome. And I love seeing, look at this. SMU is number 9. Alabama is 13. That means that the experts think SMU is a better football program currently than Alabama. That ought to make you feel good. And if you're Alabama, that ought to make you feel bad because that means you're sliding. Number 10, rounding it out, Big Ten, University of Indiana, the Hoosiers. I felt bad for them. They're 10-1. Oh, the Hoosiers are going to go undefeated. Oh, man. Okay, so now let me tell you the other conversation that me and my son had. I hope this doesn't happen. I really don't want this to happen. I really don't. And neither does he. We don't need this. We don't need to know what would happen if. Because we might be in a situation with Notre Dame at number 5 and Texas at number 3, that at some point in the college playoff system, that Notre Dame is going to have to play Texas, and the rubber is going to hit the road, and me and my boy. So here's what we decided, okay? We decided that if in the next few weeks, because of the playoffs, the way they shake out or whatever, Notre Dame has to play Texas, that I am going to root for Notre Dame, and he is going to root for UT, and we are not going to have any contact during that game. We're just not going to, because we don't want to have it in our history that either of us was talking shit about the other team. I mean, seriously, that's what we talked about. He goes, Dad, he goes, I don't think we should talk. He goes, I think we should just black it out and we should just have the experience alone. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's best. He's like, because Dad, I'm telling you, you know how competitive we get. He goes, I'll start saying shit I don't mean. And you'll say shit that you can't take back. And I'm like, I know. I'll say stuff. I'll start ripping into Sark. I'll go the whole, he's an alcoholic. Anyway, we're very football centric in our family right now. We're very excited about it now. Frankie Smith in the chat room, he says SMU is successful because they're paying over the table now, unlike the 80s when they were paying under the table. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, look, SMU is going to be dominant for years, and Frank is onto something. He's absolutely right. Why? Because now it's legal for schools to pay players for certain things, and we're going to see a shift. I've been saying this for a couple of years. We are going to see a shift in Colorado. We are going to see the Alabamas fall away. We're going to see the Georgias out there in Athens, Georgia, where they play. We're going to see them fall away. We're going to see Oklahoma fall away. We're not going to see Texas fall away. We're going to see a rise in teams like SMU. We're going to see a rise in teams like TCU. We're going to see a rise in Miami. We're going to see a rise. Are you ready? I'm predicting within the next 10 years, the Red Knights of Rutgers are going to be national football champions. Yep. UCLA, USC. See, because now you can pay players. So you can, the schools that are in the larger markets that have larger opportunities. I mean, you're the quarterback down there in Bama on campus, that's a bad example because Bama is a national brand. But I mean, just like, what are you going to get, a car dealer? He's like, you're in Los Angeles. Universal Pictures is going to give you something to do. It's just a bigger thing. Rutgers is in New York City. Rutgers is the biggest football program closest to New York City. The Rutgers players that they'll start getting in the transfer windows and as recruits, they're all going to be going there because there's money in New York City. There's not so much money in Norman, Oklahoma, like there is in New York City. If you're a kid and you can go play for Rutgers and make like $1.5 million, or you can go to, Norman, Oklahoma, and maybe make $1 million. You're going to go to Rutgers and make the extra 5. It's just the bigger cities are now going to start to dominate college football because they're going to have more resources to pay players. And a school like SMU, which is already, the alumni base at SMU is one of the wealthiest in football. That's a rich people's school, SMU, a very rich people's school. It's considered a new Ivy. I think I talked about that a while ago. So I think we're going to see a shift in college football. And when I jokingly said that, look at Alabama falling down, I don't think it's going to stop there. And Miami, what college kid isn't want to go play and get paid in Miami? You want to go to Iowa? You want to go to Ames, Iowa? Or do you want to go to Miami? I mean, we're going to see. This is going to change. Frank Smith says Mississippi doesn't have the business base of a Florida or Texas. No, of course not. Mississippi, they're not going to have any competitive college teams. No good players are going to go to cash in Mississippi. It's just not going to be a thing. It's just not going to happen. Let's see here. CC in the Sports Bras, he says you should make it the Mason Bowl, and whoever wins, he picks to go to college. Nah. Trust me, I love you, but my son and his college decision is going to be a group decision. There are adults. Look, I'll tell you, I'm trying to stave off something here. If my son is left to his own devices, he's going to choose Florida. Okay, he's going to choose to play at the University of Florida. So yeah, my son is not going to be making his own decisions. And why does he want to go to Florida now? Because he watched the Aaron Rodgers show on FX and he's like, Florida sounds like it's fun. I'm like, you dumbass. All colleges are fun, okay? Stop it. Just because you saw Florida, I mean, what, I got to make him watch? I made him watch Rudy. That doesn't make Notre Dame look all that fun. I got to be honest. That makes Notre Dame look like a place that smells of mold and doesn't have a whole lot of smiling people, at least the way Rudy depicts Notre Dame. So I don't know. So he wants to go to Florida. He's like, did you see the girls? I'm like, it was a TV show. But yes, the girls at Florida are probably really hot. Okay. But the girls at look, did you see the girls? Look, dude, you're smart. This is me talking to my son. Dude, you're smart. Florida is a school for dummies, okay? You need to go to a school for smart people so that we can. So, yeah, CC, I don't give a shit who wins the Mason Bowl. He ain't getting to decide where he ultimately goes to college. It's me, his mom, his stepdad, and him. We're gonna make a group decision. Jeff says better be pushing UT with the free tuition. Yeah, I mean that's great. I am so pleased that I live in a state now that is going to be offering that kind of. That's an incredible thing. You're right too. All things being even, but no, he can't qualify for that. I'm sorry, he can't. I just realized. My son can't qualify for the free tuition. His mom and stepdad have money. They're successful. His mom is like super successful. You don't think I would marry an idiot? I mean, she's like really good. They make more than $100,000 a year. He's not going to qualify for that. I mean, they drive German cars. Their driveway has German cars. I'm just telling you. So he's not going to qualify for the. Let's see here. Frankie Smith pushing UTEP. UTEP only has low riders and is playing in the Mountain West Conference. Yeah, University of Texas El Paso is not going to rise in this era of paid players. But other schools were programs at schools because you can make money with these programs. And you're telling me that Rutgers doesn't want to go? You mean that we can use New York City as a lure for what are the other big ones? Like Northwestern in Chicago is another big city major college football program. And they're major because they're in the Big Ten. They're not good, but they're a major program. They just built Northwestern University. I think they expect to suddenly be big players in the coming years because they just built a massive stadium, a brand new. I mean, it's awesome. It's like better than any other stadium in Chicago. And it's the Northwestern Wildcats' new stadium. So they're planning. They're like, yeah. Oh, yeah, Chicago money's going to make the Chicago advertising, the Chicago media market. Oh, yeah, number 3. Yeah, we're going to lure some players in the transfer portal. We absolutely are. Although the problem, again, with a school like Northwestern and also a school like SMU, although I think Northwestern is a little bit more stringent than SMU, is again, grades. Like, these are smart people schools. Northwestern sucks at football because it's too hard to get good athletes to go there because, you got to be really smart. But Stanford and Notre Dame have traditionally had good football programs, and their academic standards are very high. So I don't know. All right, that's going to do it for the top 25 and our talk about college football. Wasn't that fun? All right. What else do we have? Cowboys? You talk a little Cowboys? See the guy? I ain't gonna talk Bears. I ain't talking Bears. You hear me? Hold on. Oh my goodness. Hold on. You know what, guys? I need 1 second here, okay? Can we just take another quick break? Because I want to see how much time I have before this meeting that I have coming up. So I just want to quickly let me do something. I'll be right back, okay? I promise. Got to figure out how much longer I can go. So we'll be right back. Hold on. All right, good. Okay, so Cowboys game last night. I can tell you, again, as a Bears fan and a Cowboys fan, I was pleased to see what happened to the Commanders yesterday happen. I'm glad that the Cowboys were able to. Look, my Bears beat them, okay? My Bears beat them in Washington. It was over. And then, of course, the Hail Mary, Jaden Daniels' Hail Mary, and it was a heartbreaker. And my team was 5-2 going into that game, maybe 4-2. Would have either been 5-2 coming out of that game or 6-2 coming out of that game. We ain't won a game since. That game completely broke our team. The only person that isn't broken is our quarterback, who's still throwing for 300 yards and no picks and threading needles and making these plays that are unbelievable. But meanwhile, the rest of the team is like, yeah, we're not really trying. We're hoping to get another top 5 pick. We got the quarterback. But when I watched that unfold with the Cowboys, I'm sorry, I didn't derive the level of satisfaction that I thought I would have. That Cowboy game was crazy last night. Here, let's see. What do we got? We got anything? What's this? Here you go. Let's watch this, shall we? Do you want to relive your Cowboy experience? Why not? It was a good one. All right, here we go. All right, this was last night's Cowboy game. This is how it ended. I should have taken more joy from it, but for some reason, I don't know. I just couldn't. After watching what happened to my Bears lost. We beat the Vikings. We beat the Vikings! And we lost in overtime. I will say this about my Bears as we wait for this video to pull up with the Cowboys. I will say this about my Bears. We're not getting blown out. I mean, we're losing these games against good teams. Should have beat Green Bay last week. We lost in overtime yesterday. We lost on a Hail Mary the week before that. We're fine. You know what's fine? Playoffs are out of the question. Again, I'm speaking of the Bears fan. Playoffs are out of the question. The other teams in our division are 2 and 3 years ahead of us in the rebuild. All right? Look, we're fine. We're going to be fine. It's not this year. We fooled ourselves into thinking that maybe we could sneak in if... No, shut up. No, we're not. My hope, if you look at the Chicago Bears schedule, which is without question the hardest schedule remaining in the NFL, when you look at our schedule, my hope is that we lose every game. I want a top 5 pick again. Oh, I want another top 5. Here you go. This is last night's Cowboys game.
Tackle them in bounds. They're made to play in these styles. Now they can just unleash it the quarterback.
Half a minute, no timeouts. Daniels throws down the sideline for Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is loose. Lightning strikes twice in Washington.
Oh my gosh.
86 yards.
They dropped 11 guys in coverage. If they just tackle him in bounds, the game is over. I don't even know what to say. I'm absolutely speechless. And before anyone on Washington gets too fired up, remember, we've seen a missed PAT already.
Yeah, you hold your breath with anything special teams related on this day.
This is unbelievable.
Seibert's got to have butterflies here for the tie. Low snap. It is no good. And the worst special teams in history has a fitting finish.
All right. Good for the Cowboys, right? Well, let me tell you, Cowboys. What happened to my back screen? My back screen is now like, all right. Look, Cowboys, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but that ain't going to help come draft time. And you need a lot of things and whatever. I just didn't find it as satisfying as I had a rough day. I had a rough day of football. I had that. And then, I don't know, it wasn't a national game, so I don't know if you saw what happened in the Bears game, but, you know, Caleb Williams battles the team back, forces overtime. We're down. We need the ball again. We need the ball again. We're down, 3? Yeah, we're down 3 now. We score a touchdown. Caleb comes down with 1:30 on the clock, leads them down, touchdown. We score. Now we're down 3. No, he converted the 2-point conversion, right? He needed that too. Boom, 2 points. Now 8, so we're good. Now there's like 20 seconds left on the clock. This is the Bears game, Bears-Vikings. So there's like 20 seconds left on the clock. We need we're gonna onside kick it. And they're like, the new kicking rules, there hasn't been one successful onside kick all season. And I'm like, fuck. So then the Bears, they onside kick it, and the Bears recover it. The first onside kick that was successful all year, we recover it. We're at midfield. Caleb needs to make one throw, makes an amazing perfect throw, exactly what you want, under pressure. Field goal team comes out. They kick it. Tied up. Minnesota Vikings, one of the best teams in the league. Look at us going to overtime against them. And then the defense collapses in overtime. And, I just can't. I can't anymore, but that's okay because all I care about with my football team is that my quarterback isn't throwing picks. He's getting better and better every week, and he's leading this team. And that's all I care about. Okay. Big changes again. We're going to have a whole new coaching staff. Let me tell you who my Chicago Bears are going to get. Now, I know you Cowboys are also out there, but it's already being whispered. This guy doesn't want to be a Cowboy. You don't want to deal with Jerry. This guy wants to come in and be Caleb's guy. I predict 25th of November, 3:25, that upon the firing of Matt Eberflus and current staff there with the Chicago Bears, the next coach of the Chicago Bears will be John Gruden. John Gruden is coming to Chicago. John Gruden with a chip on his shoulder. John Gruden, who feels like John Gruden, one of the best coaches, best motivators of talented men. I don't know what he is statistic or strategically and all of that stuff. Comes from a football family. His brother's pretty good. Gruden has always been a leader of men. And let me tell you, this extraordinarily talented Chicago Bears team filled with top draft picks needs a Ditka, okay? We are a city that loves a Ditka. John Gruden will be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. You Cowboys, please enjoy Belichick, okay? Enjoy a guy who's going to coach from 1996. You know, I don't want to do any of that New England stuff. That's all been done. I'm going back to my old Cleveland Browns playbook for the Cowboys. Yeah, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get Cleveland Browns Belichick because the dude's like, the game is passed him by, is my point. Not Gruden. Gruden's a young man with a chip on his shoulder and a fire in his belly, and he doesn't like nonsense. And that's what we need in Chicago because Matt Eberflus just lets this team walk all over him. It's just not good. Let's see here. I see Adam Reyna is talking football. I wish I respected his sports opinions, but I don't. So I'm just going to gloss over them. What else do we have here? Guys, I think that's going to be it. Oh, shut up, Adam. You know I love you. You too, Jeff. Who else did I yell at today? I feel like I yelled at Jeff. I feel like I yelled at Frankie, but I can yell. Frankie and Adam I can yell at. Frankie and Adam, Frankie and Adam, we go back. We're fine. I don't think I was cruel to anybody else. Here's what I want to do. I've got a homework assignment, and at some point I'm going to talk about it. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until. So last week, a new show was released on Hulu. I'm gonna leave you with this. A new show was released on Hulu, and I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and I put it aside. And I said, okay. I'm going to watch 20 minutes of it. I'm going to watch this with my 15-year-old son. This is going to be something that we're going to watch together. It's a true historical telling of something that actually happened and how it went down. And I want him to see it. It's cool. He's going to like it. It's got punk rock music. It's got partying and humor and a lot of guns and bombs and violence. But ultimately, it's a real, true story about people, about his people. The story of the troubles in Northern Ireland. Now, I'm obsessed with the IRA, the provisional IRA. I'm obsessed with the first revolution in Ireland led by Michael Collins and Eamon de la Veria and all of these guys. And then I'm also obsessed with, after 50 years of being like, okay, we have this treaty, after 50 years, around 1968, 69, the Irish people, the Catholics in Northern Ireland were like, enough. And then it all started again. The troubles going on from like 1968 to 1998 ended with the Good Friday Accords. Bill Clinton, peace in Northern Ireland. That was a very big. So there's a show, and it's on Hulu, and it's the story of one of the most famous people from that era of the battle. The Price sisters. Actually, they seem to make Dollar's Price the main Price sister, but the Price sisters, Miriam and Dolores Price, were two sisters who came from a legacy IRA family. Their mother was an IRA fighter. Their father was an IRA fighter. Their aunt Bertie, who lived with them, had no arms and no eyes because she had a bomb that she was building explode at her kitchen table when she was 19. It's the story of what the Irish Catholics in modern-day Northern Ireland went through, how they fought, their insurgency war, their war of terror. They were terrorists, just like Gaza, just like Beirut. The story is about them, the Price sisters, and their association with the IRA in Belfast it starts in 1968, but it carries all the way through the 90s. Now, it's so good. Here, I want you to see it. It's not just that it's a good show and that I think you'll enjoy it if you like cool TV shows. But my God, I think it's, like I said, okay, so I should go back. I watched the first 20 minutes and then decided to save it for my son. I started reading things about it over a couple of days. April, our friend April, she was like, hey, are you seeing this? I'm like, yeah, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my kid to watch it. Well, I just started reading all the stuff and I couldn't. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch it. It's probably going to be good enough where I'll want to watch it twice. And, so whatever. So I jumped into it over the weekend and there's 10 episodes. It is not a series. It is a mini series. It is not intended to have a season 2. It is a mini series about this period of time and this modern style of terrorist warfare in Northern Ireland. And about the people, the real people, Brendan Hughes, Jerry Adams, the Price sisters, right? It's about the disappeared. The disappeared were Irish Catholics in Northern Ireland who just vanished off the face of the earth and nobody ever went looking for them. The British authorities didn't go looking for them. Nobody went looking for them. They were Irish Catholics who were abducted by the IRA that disappeared. They were traitors. They were Irish Catholics who were reporting to the British police about the actions of other IRA members that lived in their apartment building. Those are the disappeared. It's about that. It's about all of that. And it's the best show I've seen in a long time. Granted, I'm biased. This is my wheelhouse. This is a story and a subject matter that I am fascinated by. But I don't know. I wonder if you're not really at all, if you weren't raised by an old man half drunk explaining to you, reading to you out of the newspaper about what the latest stuff was, if you weren't raised that way, will this connect with you? I don't know. I think it does because it's just a good, cool show about people being badass, about freedom fighters, about people fighting for something more than there's a chick with a dick playing soccer. These are about people fighting for their lives, for their dignity, for their freedom. And many call them terrorists. Here, watch this. This is the trailer for Say Nothing. Hold on, let me make sure we get this right. It's on Hulu. I want y'all to watch it. And when it's over, I will be giving you a full review, but I don't want to do that now. We'll just watch the trailer together. And maybe this week, you can watch a couple of episodes. And who knows, maybe at the Thanksgiving table, you can have a conversation about what terrorism is.
This is all anonymous, yeah?
You can say anything.
My mother and father were both proud members of the Irish Republican Army.
Have I told you girls how to make explosives?
It was quite a happy childhood. We were Catholic. It was a segregated society. Everything went to the Protestants. We thought joining the IRA was the noblest thing a person could do.
When we leave for school,
You're not going to school.
I had that mean the whole time. Soldiers didn't even think to look. You might be missing your chance to win this war.
We wanted to be doing what the boys were doing.
What were the boys doing?
Fundraising.
We are liberating funds for the Irish Republican Army. Mother Superior.
The Brits had a problem. They didn't know who was IRA. But one thing they could never get us to do was talk.
My whole family has suffered. I would die for a united Ireland.
You were taught that the men fighting beside you were your brothers. That you were fighting in the name of the people. And I think people should know there's a price to be paid. Our silence.
All right. So there you have it. That's the trailer for Say Nothing. It's incredible. Look, the TV went out behind me. Oh, now I'm all, why is this here? Whoa, now I'm really. Look at how white and washed out I look. Bring it down. Bring it down. There we go. Like I said, it's all true. A couple of pro tips if you're going to try and watch this show, closed captioning is a must. The writing is so incredible, and it comes really fast in a very thick Irish brogue, so you're going to want to have the closed captioning. So you're not going to want to miss any of these great lines. So closed captioning is a must. It's English. It's being spoken in English, but you might be like, wait, what did they say? You're going to want the closed captioning. What's the other pro tip? The other pro tip is have the Wikipedia page open. You'll love it. This is why I love watching historical shows. I watched this show on the big screen, and I have the laptop open right here, or my phone. Sometimes it's on my phone, but I'll have the Wikipedia page for this show, and I'll have it at the cast of characters. And every time I see a character, I will click on the real person. And pause the show. Okay, so they're introducing this new. Oh, they're introducing Brendan Hughes. Now I know who Brendan Hughes is. They're introducing Jerry Adams. I know who Jerry Adams is. But if you don't, be sure that you pause it and then you open it and you read who these people are, because these are all real people. These are all real, principled freedom fighters. Principles. That's my takeaway from this show so far. I live in a country surrounded by people with no principles. We think we know what's important. We think we have things that we would fight for, but would we really fight for them? None of us have ever truly been tested regarding our nationalistic principles. And it's a fascinating show about people who will, or people who have, and how they behave. And I can tell you, as an Irishman, I'm very proud of the fact that globally, we're the fuckers who don't talk. We're the ones who you can do whatever you want to us, but we're not going to talk because we got principles. And this is about a united Ireland. It's an incredible, incredible story. So great, so inspiring. I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. That's it. Live from the Kelly Moore Studios, as we do each and every day. Remember, if you're so inclined and you appreciate this kind of talk radio, you can always drop a little something there. We, take your tips. I'm your bartender, whatever I am. Help us out if you can. Continue this kind of talk radio. I don't care how you voted. You don't care how I voted. We're just people talking about the world as it happens in front of us. I missed my flag. I got to go. I'm late for a meeting. You're the best. Bye.